that we're working on. Back matches. Present to everyone. Okay, here we go. Okay, so a little bit of review. So that way the people with us can see this. Okay, so isotonic solution. So let's talk about this one really quick. Okay, I'll just crack this shut so no one can hear us. Okay, so what's this tube represent right here? Yeah, it's the blood vessel, right? And so this would be a syringe, right, with 0.9 saline in it. But currently we have 0.9 saline in the vessel and 0.9 saline out of the vessel. So what's happening with water on the other side? It's isotonic, what's happening? Nothing, right? There's free movement of water, and it's just going to be, and if I put more in, if I put more normal, it's just the same concentration, right? So there's nothing chemically going on. Okay, so I just put more O9 in there. Okay, so the arrow is free moving. It's going both ways, right? So that's what's going on right now. But if I put more in, I insert it in a syringe, and either through IV or through putting it in through a syringe, what's going to happen to the blood pressure if I do this?
You put what, more than 9?
Yeah, if I just put 9% in or 0.9% in, it's the same as both the extra.
It moves into the tissues, right?
Well, in this case, nothing's going to happen because I'm putting 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. They all match, right? So there's nothing chemically happening. But what is in addition to the 0.9 saline is going into the blood vessel?
Water. Yeah,
there's some kind of solution that sodium is suspended in, and so that water is going to do what to the blood pressure? When that water hits the blood vessel, it's going to push it up, right? So because we're adding water to the blood vessel, it's going to drive up the blood pressure. It's not chemically happening. It's just because we're increasing the amount of fluid, and that fluid increase is going to cause cardiac output to go up, which is going to cause blood pressure to go up. Okay, you're dead on target. Okay, here we go. So I'm adding isotonic fluid, increasing blood pressure, but why? Why is it increasing?
You're still putting fluid
in. You're still adding something to the components, right?
You're still filling it with more volume.
Okay, you're okay. Yep, you're totally there. Your volume is going up, okay? Fluid added is isotonic. So what kind of fluids do we add to isotonic? To stay isotonic, what are the fluids that we add?
Lactate ringers, 9%.
Normal saline, right? Those are the two that we add to be isotonic.
Head of starch also isotonic?
Head of starch does something else, and we'll talk about that in a minute and why, okay? But look, I had a little note here. Lactated ringer solution typically contains what? It contains sodium chloride, which is salt, potassium chloride, a potassium base, a calcium chloride, and a sodium bicarbonate, which the last thing it does, it keeps the pH balance of the blood. That's what lactated ringers is. We've never talked about what it was. I thought that was an appropriate place to say, hey, lactated ringers, look at the different chemicals that are in there. Have we seen all those chemicals somewhere else? Those are our electrolytes. So we're just adding electrolytes of all kinds. In 0.9 saline, we're just adding saline, right? We're adding salt water, 0.9% salt water. Lactated ringers, though, is a combination or a cocktail of all of our electrolytes. So depending on what's happening to the person, you may choose to give them lactated ringers because then you're not going to throw off. You're going to give them all we're going to give them all in addition to all the different electrolytes, not just one of them. And so there may be a condition where we want to do that. Okay. Next up. Okay. Hypertonic solution. Look at the syringe now. Where's the syringe at now? It's 3%, and it's actually physically in the blood vessel now. We're physically adding something. So I'm 3% in the blood vessel. So I'm 9% out here. I'm 0.9% here. I'm 3% here. So what's going to happen inside the blood vessel now?
Bigger.
It's gonna increase the concentration in here. So where's my water gonna flow? Is it gonna flow out or is it gonna flow in? Why is it gonna flow in?
Because there's salt. All the water is gonna flow into where the salt is.
Yeah, it's gonna follow the sodium. So there's my arrow now. So water, there's 3.3% inside, and then I got water outside, and then I'm gonna get increased water inside. What's that gonna do to my blood pressure? It's gonna go up. Dude, you're killing this.
I know. Been over this one a while.
Yeah, again, it's been a while since we've been over this, and this is really important in a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. So I thought a little bit of review would be helpful. Okay. So here we go. So 3%. So this thing right here, normal saline, what is this made out of? This guy right here. What's this? This is sodium, right?
Yep.
Albumin. What's albumin?
Protein.
Yep. And what's this guy?
Sugar.
What's this guy?
Sugar.
They're both sugar based.
That one's hypo, the head start.
Yep. Now these are doing it for two different reasons. This is doing it because D50 is an increase in the percentage of glucose. What's the word HETA mean? Large starch. This is doing it for the same reason that this is doing it. The protein molecules are larger, and so larger things draw water to them. HETA starch isn't doing it because the concentration of sugar is larger, that we're using larger molecules of sugar. Starch, which are multi-molecules of glucose put together, and it's a polypeptide, where D5W or D5 D50 is glucose. It's like dextrose, which is a single molecule of sugar. This one here is a polypeptide. These are monopeptides, or the monosaccharide. These are monosaccharides, and these are polysaccharides. So they're larger molecules, and so these guys use the same properties as these guys to draw water into the vessel. Okay. Okay. You're tired. Something's going on.
No,
Do you want me to come over and shake you?
everything. No.
Listen, just relax. You're studying, right?
Yeah.
So just relax and let it happen, okay? You're going to do fine. Okay, oops. Ignore the next one. So what's the concern? What's the concern? Okay, so I'm asking the right question, but I don't want to. So what is the big concern if we're putting 3% saline in? Thank you. So under the fluid overload rule, what's the fluid overload rule say? What do we do here?
500 milligrams.
500, there we go. Then we do what?
Then we watch, then we do 500 again.
Check, right? So blood pressure, pulse ox, and then like we're checking for breathing, right? Okay, awesome. That's the fluid overload. You got it. Okay. Yay. Moving right along. We're just doing a quick review on what you and I did this morning, and then we're gonna move on.
Cool.
And this is being blogged. I'm blogging it. Okay. So now this is different. So now you come up here and you tell me what's going on. Okay. Come on up. You come up here and tell me what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
And I brought this really good gum, so if you want some gum, this stuff is crack. It's beautiful.
And it's going to pull all the blood out of the vessel into the tissues.
Okay, so which way is the arrow going to go? You show us the arrow. Just use that crappy pen. I got a better one. Just use that. Okay. So what fluid is flowing out?
Water.
Okay, H2O is flowing out. Excellent. Okay, and why is it flowing out?
Salt.
So we're 0.45 inside the vessel now, but what are we outside the vessel?
0.9.
So put 0.9 out there. There we go.
So it's going to follow where the higher concentration of
Hallelujah.
solutes are. So it's going to move out into the tissues. So we're worried about dehydration.
Worried about dehydration. Perfect. That was exactly where I was going. And what are the solutions that we would add to the blood? I've given us one, right? 0.45 normal saline is the one that I've given us. Are there any other ones that we? HETA starch we talked about in hypertonic. So D5W, yes. And Sandra, what does D5W stand for?
It's glucose.
So dextrose 5% to water.
Where did you get that? Printed it out.
It's on the web right now. When Adriana gets here, she's done this like cheat sheet work thing, the slide deck that goes with this. I'm just gonna let her run it, okay? So D5W is one. So what is D5W? What is it? What is it made out of?
Sugar. Dextrose.
Sugar. So that's dextrose. That's sugar-based. Right? And then saline is one. Is there any other protein or anything that we would use to go hypotonic?
Hypo. Got saline. We've got that D5W to go hypo.
Do we ever use proteins to do this?
No.
We never use proteins to do this. But remember, we always check saline, sugars, proteins. Those are the three that do this stuff for us. And so each one we look at, we just check them, right? We just say, hey, isotonic, 0.9, normal saline. We've got albumin, and then we don't use proteins or anything to stay isotonic. So that covers our protein, right? Okay, we're good. So you got it. So what's the concern with these guys? You already said it. So dehydration is the big concern. That's the big concern that we're worried about. Okay, awesome. And you got them all. And does this raise the blood pressure or lower blood pressure? Okay, there you go. That's it. Yeah, until Adriana gets here, I'm just going to put the slides for Unit 8 on here.
So
and we'll keep going.
what I'm really still not getting is all of like hematocrit and
You guys want to go CBCs? We can do CBCs.
I like for some reason I just still can't get that. Like, what is the hematocrit
Like the numbers
for?
or
What is
what?
hemoglobin for?
What does it stand for?
Okay, let's
Why do you test for that and what?
do this. I'm going to put up
What
a white
about
screen.
this? Have you filled out this yet?
No.
Because it's like, what lab test would you use to test for bleeding problems?
I know that like a cold or the hema stuff.
Those are the 4 hemoglobin-based ones. There's like whatever. Let's go. Let's just this first. We'll start with CBCs first. So CBCs. What does CBC stand for?
Complete blood count.
Okay, complete blood count. Anytime you see this word, what's going to go with it? Whole blood. When we hear whole blood, what do we say? What are we talking about when we say whole blood?
All the blood parts. We've
So you
got
look at that
white
little-
blood cells,
Yep.
red blood cells, and platelets.
So we look at that. We look at that test tube, and we've got on the top of it we have what's up here. What's this? What's this part right here? The clear part up here. That's plasma, right? And that's where all the platelets and stuff live. This line in the middle right here, this breaking line. What's that stuff in there?
RBCs.
Those are white blood cells.
Oh,
That little line in the middle separates them as white blood cells.
okay.
And then the big red blotchy crap down here, all this really thick stuff, that's all the red blood cells down
There's
there.
a little pink platelet, right?
Yeah, the platelets are up here. Platelets live up here in the plasma. Okay, so those are our 3 main constituents of blood, correct?
Yep.
Okay, those are our main constituents of blood. So red blood cells, there's 2 components to red blood cells. What were they?
Our hematocrit, hemoglobin, and
That's it.
that's okay. I was
Okay.
like,
So what are our normal values for red blood cells?
0.6 to 5.4.
Okay, so 3.6 to 5.4, and I always use those add up to equal 9. Okay, that's another way to remember. Okay, that's the way I think about it. If I get to 9, I know these are correct. If I get something besides 9, it's not right. Okay, so let's talk about hemoglobin and hematocrit. So what does hemoglobin actually do?
So that's like your oxygenated blood, right?
This is the O2 carrying part of the blood, right? Hemoglobin is the part of the red blood cell that physically attaches and holds
Okay, so
oxygen. in
why
there.
would you need to just test for that though? Like how? I don't understand
instead
how
of
that.
hematocrit,
Okay,
like
so
when-
remember
Yeah, like
hematocrit?
how
What?
does that
Okay,
jump to something?
look at the
clinical?
test tube over here. So if hematocrit is the total amount of red, this red component in the bottom, so it's a percentage value, right? Because we're looking at this, we're looking at hematocrit in relationship to what else? Right, hematocrit is the red part on the bottom of the test tube. So what are the 2 parts on the top that are separated from it? Platelets and white blood cells or plasma, right? So we're saying this is 37 to 50% of the whole blood. We're saying, hey, hematocrit is this just the red blood cell part away from white blood cells and white blood cell? I mean, platelets and white blood cells. Does that make sense now why that's a percentage? That's why that value is a percentage.
But what? I'm just not understanding clinically why you need just that.
Because what happens if this number? What happens if hematocrit was only 20% of whole blood? Where would this line in the middle be now? If hematocrit was 20% of whole blood, where would that line be now? Where would the line be? It'd be down here, right? Is that a problem, having only this piece? So that means that plasma and white blood cells, so white blood cells are now shifted down to here, and that means plasma is now filling up a huge part of it.
But what does that mean if that is your result?
Okay, so if you have more plasma, what does this part of the blood do? What does red blood cells do? What's the primary function of red blood cells?
to carry oxygen.
Carry oxygen, right? That's what they do. So if I'm down to 20%, you hit on it. It's anemia. We're now not getting enough oxygen to our cells because we just don't have enough red blood cells to get there. Sandra, you're going to add something.
I think what maybe part of what you want is that you have to do the complete blood count to be able to compare the values to each other. So
I
you
just
can
feel like
see.
they always throw out one and it's like, this is normal, this is not normal, this is normal, but I'm like, I have no idea why that wouldn't be normal.
Okay, so why?
They're
So
not, like,
so Tanner,
connecting, like, what
I'm going to hit Tanner up right now.
You mean like what?
problems.
What would
Diseases?
cause
Yeah.
red blood cells to get low in the body? How would this number how come plasma and white blood cells would have a greater percentage compared to red blood cells? What would cause that?
An infection.
An infection could cause that, right? We could get an infection, and the infection can physically be killing red blood cells.
I thought that was like high white blood cells.
No, if we had an infection, what would happen to white blood cells? What's their primary function?
White blood cells would go up.
White blood cells fight infection, so they're going to go up when there's an infection. They're going to be, the body's going to call for more of that. So in what Tanner just said, we have an infection going on. Okay, we have an infection going on, and that infection specifically brings the red blood cells down. Okay, that's one of the things that's going to happen. Okay, our big concern with red blood cells is going down is O2, right? Anemia. O2 is going down. Oh shit! Sorry.
Okay, but what if your red blood cells are normal? Your hemoglobin is normal.
Okay, hemoglobin.
You got your hematocrit's not normal. Your white blood cells are normal. Your platelets are normal. Everything else.
So you're saying what happens if my hemoglobin is normal and my hematocrit is low?
But everything else is normal.
Okay, everything else is normal. Okay, so let's hit this. Let's hit this. That's a great question. So you said hemoglobin is normal. You little bastard pin. Red blood cell count is normal, but you said hematocrit is low. Okay, so we're saying everybody, the oxygen carrying capacity of my blood is normal, but I only have 20% of my oxygen carrying capacity. I want to be at 50, but I only have 20. So am I still going to be in an anemic condition?
Yeah.
I could, because my percentage of blood cells that are available just aren't there. Okay, what happens now? What if my hematocrit was good, but I had reticulocytes, baby red blood cells that don't carry oxygen very well? Now my hemoglobin level is low, even though my percentage is still good, but my hemoglobin level is low because my body's calling on more red blood cells. It's keeping the red blood cell count up, but because we're drawing so many out, the bone marrow's like, man, get these damn red blood cells out there. The body's calling for them, but send those adolescent kids out there. Okay, let me ask you a question. When you ask an adolescent kid to do any work, what do?
Not do
They don't do work. So you send out
So
we send out our little reticulocytes, right? Our little,
They can do that.
they pretend to.
they're reticulocytes. They'll go out there and they'll float in the blood and act like they're doing something, right? But are they going to want to carry oxygen like they're supposed to? If they get the oxygen that's delivered to them, do they want to give it up at the tissues that want it? It's like a mailman driving down your street at 80 miles an hour and just throwing mail out the window. He's going to try to deliver it, but it's not going to end up where it's supposed to be, right? So did that answer your question, Harmony?
Well, so what would that condition be? Just still anemia?
You'd be in an anemic condition, right? Because your hematocrit would be correct, but your hemoglobin levels would be low because we replaced it with baby red blood cells who don't do the work of adult red blood cells, and that would cause you to be anemic. You wouldn't get tissues oxygen.
I think what Harmony was trying to ask was whether if your red blood cells and hemoglobin is right, hematocrit is low, then it's most likely due to just the extra hydration. So like you drink a lot of water and you have extra liquid in your blood, but then you have your normal blood cells, red blood cells, normal hemoglobin. Just the hematocrit is, your blood is diluted basically because you drank a lot of water.
So fluid overload, perhaps?
Fluid
Fluid overload can cause that. So that's something we could be doing, right? So if we notice that, what do? We shut the IV off.
Yeah.
We
we
shut
don't give it anymore.
the IV off. Did that answer your question, Harmony?
Yeah, I just wish there were more examples of like.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, guess what? I got some flashcards here today, and I shared some last night. Specifically talked about electrolyte, blood stuff. Remember, there was 2 or 3 questions I asked last night that specifically talked about those values, and we had to go through individually and say which one was normal, which ones are abnormal, and then answer the question, correct? So we'll do that again today if everybody wants to do that. I got some flashcards. We'll dig through them and find some questions that are appropriate to that. Okay, so hemoglobin. So we got hematocrit, and why hematocrit is a percentage, okay? It's a percentage because of this stupid test tube, right? And it's going to shift. But the normal value that we're looking for is 37 to 50%. So we want this test tube to be half full of red blood cells, and the rest of it's white blood cells and platelets, plasma and stuff. Okay, hemoglobin, we established that's the oxygen carrying capacity of the existing red blood cells. So what's the values for those? Anybody know?
Hemoglobin is 12 to 16, is it?
It's like 16.5, right?
16.5,
okay.
yeah.
12 to 16.5, that's that guy. Okay, awesome. Okay, now what's the next blood component that we're looking for? Damn it. Sorry guys, that's crappy to see. It was horrible to see. So now we're to white blood cells. I'm gonna just be mean. What is the Latin root word for this?
Don't
Leukocytes, right?
Leukocytes.
Everybody go, hallelujah.
Leukocytes and erythrocytes are RBCs, and thrombocytes are platelets.
Dang. Why is it important to know the Latin roots for these? Because the question can say thrombocytes. A question can say leukocytes. A question can say erythropoietin. And if you don't know the Latin root,
and then you know why it does.
leukopoietin. Shit. Okay, so let's talk about white blood cells. There are two kinds of cells in here that we're going to be looking at. Neutrophils and, okay, remember, neutrophils and lymphocytes, this is fast immunity, this is slow immunity. That's the relationship in the immune system. My handwriting is horrible, you guys, sorry.
We're judging you.
Thank you. You can neutrophils and lymphocytes. Okay, neutrophils are associated with what kind of immunity?
The
Fast immunity.
So they just respond first, right?
They respond really quickly. Okay, slow immunity is lymphocytes, right? This is going to be a slower response, but it's also going to be a stronger response. Neutrophils are a general fast immunity. Get on scene, deal with it. Lymphocytes is that organized defense. We have memory cells, and we secrete antibodies, and B and T lymphocytes are engaged, and we're seeing a really, really systematic, organized defense. Okay, that's a little bit of a jump from what we were talking about, but I wanted to hit that really quick because this is a good place to review that. Okay, so I'm going to ask Addie because I know she's hardcore. So neutrophils. Neutrophils. What kind of infections and stuff are we going to see with those going on? If those are elevated, when are we going to see that?
Those are going to be attacks on bacteria and so just getting the bacteria. And
so when we see elevated neutrophils, it's going to be an acute bacterial infection. It's going to be quick bacterial. Those guys will most likely be
And
elevated.
lymphocytes are longer bacteria or viral.
There it is.
They have been pre-exposed to something.
Hallelujah.
And then you have your memory cells that will call those and say,
okay, so that was a little bit of a jump, Harmony, but do you know why I went over that right there? Did you get all that on this one? Okay.
So you said these are chronic.
So this is going to be short. This is going to be slow immunity, fast immunity. This stuff's going to be acute infections. That's going to elevate those. These guys, I think Sandra, you said viral, and then we said what? Chronic bacterial.
Wait, which one's viral?
These guys down here,
Lymphocytes. Think longer. So chronic bacterial. Viral infections usually last longer, so.
Which I think it makes so much more sense when I talk about it this way than that damn slideshow that they gave us, where it was all over the place with the 4 boxes. And like, oh my God!
Notes, I feel like that about these notes. I'm like, these are just all over the place.
Sometimes they introduce stuff in it, but that's when we have to go back in our study group and pull these pieces together. And I think we're doing that. Are we getting that second and third order thinking here? We're drawing other stuff back to this stuff. Okay, now listen. Neutrophils and lymphocytes, this is how I remember this. You guys remember it however you want. When you add these two together, these equal 87. And I know that lymphocytes are 40 and 24. I know those are 40. This is 40 and 24. So if my total value is 87 minus 40 is what? 47 and 40 is those two. 87 minus 24 is
60.
Guess what? Those are my values. I only have to remember one set in this to get to the other ones.
Yeah, I can't do it that way.
I don't remember both. I just remember one of them. And I remember 87, I just subtracted that one to get the other set. That's how I remember. This is why I have to remember 4 numbers, and I have to be detailed about how I remember them. This one, I only have to remember one set of numbers and the total they make, and then I work backwards. Oh my God, that's some math. I'm sorry.
I know. I can't do it.
I know. Sandra just memorized.
For me, it's just another number to memorize. I'd rather just memorize the first set anyway.
What's the white blood cell count that we want? The total cells.
5,000 or 10,000.
Thank you, Harmony.
I remember the log ones.
Boom. Okay. So total what white blood cells we're looking for is 5,000 to 10,000. The neutrophil and lymphocytes. Remember, there's a key word here. Does anybody know the key word for what we only use for white blood cells?
Differential.
Hallelujah. What's differential mean?
Okay, so
different type of
it's trying to figure out how to explain
Do you need
this.
the pen? Do you want to use it? Do you want to draw something? You can draw.
No,
Just say,
I'm good.
I want to call a lifeline. I want the pen. And
I'm
I'll
good.
give you the pen. I'll sit down.
It's just like a percentage of the total red blood cells, but it's like just the white blood cells.
Yes, that is correct. So look at, what do you think the percentage of white blood cells in the whole blood is?
Teeny tiny.
It's like it may be only like a percentage, like 1% of it, right? So where am I getting these 87 and 40s? And that has to be related to these two compared to each other. Because if I'm comparing neutrophil count to red blood cell count, it'd be like 99.9997% to 0.000003% neutrophils to red blood cells. So it throws it off, right? That would not be a differential calculation. That would be a whole blood percentage relationship. That's what that differential means. Have a piece of gum. That's the best. No, I'm serious. Who has some? Sandra, is that good gum? Thank you. Okay.
Hello.
That's an advertisement for Airheads watermelon style gum. It's beautiful.
All right.
It's personally my now personal
Because
favorite.
they're sponsoring you.
No, give me some time on this damn blog. We might get some sponsorship. I'm telling you, I got my niece. She's up at Utah State. She's already hitting me up to kind of get in on this because she's doing nursing up there and she's already freaking out. So I'm like, well, hell, I'll just start downloading these and then getting her friends to pay me. Okay, here we go. And I'll have my team, my team people. Okay, and now what's left? What do we got left now?
Platelets.
Platelets. Bam,
So
platelets.
wait, hang on, back up. So if you have a high neutrophil count and nothing else, then what does that mean?
Ooh, okay. I'm not going to answer this. You can't answer this either, cheater. 'Cause I know you know this. So Harmony answered a question. She asked a question. What if I have a high neutrophil count? Say I'm at like 82%.
So would that be a bacterial?
Bacterial.
But what kind of bacterial?
Acute.
Acute, right? It has to be acute because this is the fast
So
immunity.
what if it's low?
Well, okay, what if this is low, everybody? Great question. You can't answer.
Leukemia. I cannot answer.
You can't answer because you suck and you know all the answers. I'm teasing you. You don't. Okay, I just want you to know.
Suck, but I don't know.
You guys
what
think
I am.
Well, it could mean cancer because they're not being produced. It could
What's the
mean
big word we're looking
Wait,
for?
hang on.
We're looking for a big word. Cancer is one thing, but there's a big word. It starts with an A and has an I in the middle of it.
What?
autoimmune diseases.
An autoimmunity could cause some of this, right? Because what happens if the autoimmunity
Because they're using them so much. They're either not being produced right or they're being overused, so they're depleted. So, and it's one of those. There's lots of diseases with
neutrophils, right?
I'm so glad.
No,
I'm not answering all these. This is so wonderful. You guys, I love study group. Thank you.
no, because lymphocytes. If you have cancer, that's harming your marrow. Think of all the blood components that are produced in the marrow, and any or all of those could be depleted. Or you have like
So if any of those are depleted, then that could mean autoimmune cancer.
So remember here in
Yeah,
lymphocytes, we have B cells, T cells, and macrophages. That's what we have down here. Neutrophils. Neutrophils is also another name for neutrophils. And what's the other granulocyte? That would be
Either
there?
basophils and eosinophils.
Thank you. There's three that are kind of in this, but the one that we detect for in the blood sample is this one. But the other two could also be elevated and probably will be because all those granulocytes traditionally do rapid.
The basophils are in allergies and eosinophils in the hepatocytes, right?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
But those are all rapid immunity, right?
Yeah, they're all fast.
They're all
acting,
fast acting things, yeah. And then just what they deal with. And that's
Yeah, and the lymphocytes, it just takes time to make them and train them to attack a certain cell, and then.
But when these guys go to war, this is the real deal. We're calling in. This is like
So big guns.
this is kind of like the 82nd Airborne. They get there quick, but they only have like little guns. These guys show up. This is like the tactical air power and the freaking armor heavy tanks show up. These guys are going to kick in doors and blow towns up. These guys here, like, let's just hold them at bay and keep them there for a minute until these cats show up and they just say, point us where they're at. And these guys go in and just start kicking ass and taking names. The immune system is like awesome, dude. The immune system is so freaking amazing. Okay, are we good?
Platelets.
Do you remember her like new army or neutrophil and the lymphocytes limp to the site? Did those mnemonics help you?
Yeah.
So like neutrophils, I think of them as not specified for any disease. They're the ones that show up first to neutralize what they can right off the bat. But the lymphocytes are the ones that are going to be more specific and be able to actually target in a more meaningful way. And they are also longer lasting.
Please have some. Who? Harmony. She's gonna have some later. She says.
These.
Oh, they're
Oh,
yeah.
I almost brought mine and I forgot. Okay.
Okay, last but certainly not least.
So that I know that one is like bleeding disorders because it's clots.
What's the total number?
10,000.
140,000 to 500,000.
Yep. 150K. 150K to 400K. 150K to 400K. And what do these guys do?
Clot.
Okay. They do not work alone.
No.
Clotting factors which are produced in the liver.
Boom! Thank you. And that was the we were learning right now, liver stuff, right?
Yep.
So see how we learn one thing, the next thing starts to add on
It all
to it.
connects, guys. It all connects.
Yeah, it all
Everything
connects.
ties together.
So these guys are the building blocks, and the clotting factors coming from the liver. These guys are the cement. They're the mortar that holds these together. Okay. So if I get a
So
bleed
you
going
said,
on.
wait, tell me what you said those were.
Okay. So the platelets themselves are the bricks that cause this. So I get a bleed right here in this blood vessel. So these platelets come floating by, and they get forced to this bleed, right? But can stuff leak around the brick still? Yeah, stuff leaks around the brick. Well, then these clotting factors come floating through, and the mortar starts to collect in here. Once the mortar's in place, can that bleed now bleed? No. Once the mortar's in place with the brick, you're starting to build a wall. Okay. Does that help anybody, or is that confusing? Or
No, that doesn't help.
okay. So, Ada, do you have anything did you still have your review stuff, or how do you want to do this?
Well, I do have the review stuff. There's just so much of it. I will definitely post this on your on the Google Drive.
If you post it now, I'll just bring it up.
Yeah,
I can just bring it up right now, and then you can run the show. I'll sit down and let you do your thing. What are you talking about? You're like the best showrunner in the world.
Let's see.
I just get excited. That's my problem. Okay, everyone, say hello to the online blog.
Hello, online blog.
I'm gonna switch the camera around so you can. That's me right now.
No, I mean I know.
Yeah, I've started. Well, I invited all you guys, but you're all sitting right here.
Oh, there we go.
How do I flip the camera around? I can't remember. Is it this one? Oh,
So today we're gonna go over more 6 and 7.
we're just gonna keep going where we were at. Yay! How exciting is that? Yay! I'm so excited.
I like how even though we're focusing on
It's more comprehensive.
the newer ones, we're still getting stuff from the earlier ones.
The great majority of what we're going to have in our test is going to be the newer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the newer stuff, but you have to know the
This old
stuff.
stuff comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, and if you don't know it, you're gonna get your butt bit.
Always do an APP question. Always.
Okay, here we go. So while we're waiting for her. Here we go. Right here, up here. Number 4, Tanner, go. Tanner, here's the pin. Go up there. Pin up on the board.
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm horrible. I'm the meanest guy in the whole world.
Okay, so it's gone, man.
Sorry, hold on.
You can draw a mustache on him. Hurry,
You
hurry.
can draw a mustache. Oh, no. Present to everyone. There we go. Now we're back.
Oh.
Dude, you're mean. Okay.
Okay, so pH is low. KCO2 is low,
Wait, remind me of the last one. Is it 22, 26?
and they're all low. So this is
Okay.
partially compensated.
Hold on. You're going ahead. Don't cheat us. Are we respiratory or metabolic?
We are metabolic.
Okay.
How is that partially compensated?
They're all screwed.
And then what are we?
Isn't that
Acidic? Are we acidic or are we
uncompensated?
acidosis?
Well, no, it's all.
We
When
are
all of the
in
values are
acidosis.
off, then you're partially compensated because your pH is not normal.
All is partial.
You're not compensated.
That's
until
not
your
Oh, you're
pH
Yeah.
starting to compensate, but the pH is
Okay, so don't go to cause yet. So now
All-
the next piece of it
all
is
healthy.
okay, hold on. What do we say about the arrows? Which direction they're pointing?
If they're all in the same direction, it's metabolic.
Okay, and if they're in opposite directions.
They're in opposite directions.
But Sandra, you had a mnemonic.
Specifically, pH and bicarb are the
Right.
ones we're comparing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when they're going in the same direction, it's metabolic, and when they're going in opposite directions, is respiratory.
Thank you. Okay.
Metabolic.
Now.
Oh,
And
thank
then,
you.
Reverse respiratory.
Perfect. Okay, there we go. We good, everybody?
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, now, so cause, what would be causing this? So if it's metabolic, and we're in acidosis, we're losing something.
You're kidney failure.
Why would this cause metabolic
You're
acidosis?
losing all of, no, you're retaining all of your H plus. Your hydrogen.
You're not able to excrete the hydrogen.
Okay, everyone, say goal. Say 1, 2, 3, goal. Perfect. Okay, and there's the super scale, right? We got the super scale. Dude, Harmony, dude, you got this, man.
It's taking me this long for.
So it's taking us all this long to get this.
I was at work and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually making sense.
And isn't that a beautiful feeling when it's like, ta-da! Okay, so in the scale,
acid is up, right?
so why is acid up?
pH is down.
Because we can't get rid of the free hydrogens for pissing them out, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna make that can heavier, right?
Oh.
It's gonna make
Yeah,
we're gonna add water to that side, right? To acid.
Yeah.
We're adding acid to that side, which is doing what? Taking us to acidic, and it's making basic higher. And it's being caused by kidney failure is one of the things that can be causing that, right? That can be causing that. Okay. What else could cause this? Is there anything else that could cause this? What if I'm shitting out base? Can I poop out base out the butt? I could have like chronic massive diarrhea. So I'm losing bicarb. If I'm losing bicarb, that means I'm taking base out of that side.
So diarrhea or not, no functioning kidney.
There we
That's
go.
what we've
So-
listed so far.
Yep. So Tanner, if we're crapping for diarrhea and out base, right? We're pooping base out. Oh, there's that word, poo-poo. Sorry. Poo-poo. Sorry, there's that word. I forgot to call it poo-poo. So if we're doing poo-poos with diarrhea out the butt, right? So base up the butt.
So
We're taking base out of our base it can.
Okay. Yeah. So this is gonna elevate.
So now we're still in metabolic acidosis because we crapped out base. So the relative volume of base to acid is now off because we've taken base away, which means the existing acid is now bigger in relation to the base. But Harmony, kidney failure would definitely cause this because we're holding on to acid. We're not getting rid of it like we need to. Okay, are we good? Okay, so we did metabolic acidosis. We figured out what it was. We said, what is it again? So that is it partially compensated, or uncompensated? What is it?
This is partially compensated.
And how is it partially compensated? Walk us through the rules and tell us how it works.
So if all values are abnormal, it's partially compensated.
Okay. Isn't it so much fun to watch Tanner work the pin? It's like my favorite. Guess what? You're all going to get a chance to do this. Sandra's next, or not Sandra, but Addie's going to be next because she's going to kick it hard as the leader.
Okay, so if pH
Is it on there? Okay, I'll bring it up here. And when you get up there, I'll let you stand up and then I'll put it up for you.
pH and one other abnormal, then it's uncompensated. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, pH.
I'm so
pH not normal.
Oh,
And
pH.
another-
Okay,
and
pH and
another
one other. I thought you were
abnormal.
saying pH is normal and then one.
So
other.
put an arrow going up and down next to pH.
So pH
Put an
abnormal
arrow
and
going up
one
and
other
down.
abnormal.
It's off either way, and then one other is off, right?
And
Plus one up or down.
So that's
Yeah.
uncompensated. So then,
Okay, then the last one is that's uncompensated. We have
so
compensated.
pH is
Normal.
and then the other two are abnormal.
Off. Yep. Okay.
do they both have to be off, or can just one
Yes,
be
and
off?
here's the reason why. Okay, so in what order do we see these come in? These all have to happen. What order do they come in? What's the first thing that happens? We're uncompensated. pH and one other element is off balance, right? pH gets blown off, and one of the other, either the respiratory function or the metabolic function gets blown off. So now we're uncompensated. Well, what does the body want to do to fix that? It's going to start using the acid-base, pH, ventilation, and perfusion systems to bring this back to normal. It's going to work to bring it back to normal. So then we go partially compensated because the body's working all those systems to get back to the pH being normal. And then the final phase is, hey, pH is now normal, and the body's still working respiration and metabolic functions to get those to balance out. And then guess what happens in time? Those become normal, and we're back to normal functioning again. So that helps you stand. That really helped me when I learned the order they came in. You go compensated, or excuse me, you go uncompensated, then you're partially compensated, and then you're compensated. So you go from a jacked up pH jacked up pH, but everything's working to fix it, and then you're back to a normal pH, and everything's working after that just to stabilize. They're getting back to those normal levels.
So if we were to put these in order, is
Yeah.
that what you were doing?
Yeah, in order.
It would probably be this one.
Yep, 1,
That one, then follow
2.
all, and then
3.
Yeah. Okay.
3, because your pH is normal at the end. pH is normal at the end of the function, at the end of that function. So say they gave us 3 sets of values for this going on, and they said, which patient is the most dangerous? Which one's the scariest for us as nurses? It'd be uncompensated, the first step, because there's nothing, the body hasn't even really started working yet, and their pH is off, which means their systems, things are breaking down. They're not digesting food, they're not respirating right, something's happening. Well, they're partially compensated now. We've got the pH still out, but we're seeing one of the systems kick in to fix it. And then, now, hey, we see the third patient. Hey, the pH is normal, but the 2 metabolic and respiratory categories are shifted. It's because, hey, the body's actively resisting and it's getting back to normal. Let's just let them work it out. Let's just do what we're doing. Let the body work, and in an hour they'll be normal. So that helped me a lot to understand. Hey, which patient is the most scariest? And then you think about them in that order. That helped me, Sandra. That may not help you.
No, it did.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, I'm going to bring your stuff up, Patty. Where'd you put it?
okay, put it under the Unit 3 exam, I think is what it is.
Unit 3. Okay. Yay. So glad. Bring this crap up. So, exam 3?
Yeah.
Okay, and then is it midterm study guide?
Yes.
Okay, your stuff is up. I'm going to.
Loads of red. You can see.
Okay, we're up. Your stuff is up. So that as long as on the website, we're here.
There we go. Okay, so we went through the first few things.
Yeah, we just had a few left
earlier.
on 6.
So we were going. Where were we?
We had,
Pneumothorax,
like,
pleurisy,
I think we were on
We did COPD,
COPD, asthma.
cystic fibrosis. Is that where
I think cystic fibrosis. There we go.
And tuberculosis, right? We talked about tuberculosis.
We talked about tuberculosis.
I think we were on to bronchogenic carcinoma.
There we go. So we're looking at some cancer. We're cancer.
Cancer, bronchogenic carcinoma, it's the top cause of lung cancer. So it's one thing to remember. It affects both men and women. We call it bronchogenic because it is started in the cells of the bronchi. So it's in the lumen, right? The cells in the lumen.
Well, if you want to draw the bronchi and the 2 lungs, you can show where they're at, and then you can show like flow to the lung.
Well,
I know you can do this. You're
I don't
amazing.
know about drawing.
You don't. Yes, you have to
lungs.
draw.
I don't
If
know
you're up
about
at the front, you have to draw some stuff.
And you have to say poo poo.
And you have to say poo-poo at least once.
Poop at some point, but I know
Not
my
poop.
nose
What do you have to
is-
say?
Oh, poo-poo.
Poo-poo. We have to say
Yeah,
poo-poo.
yeah, horrible heart there,
Okay.
right? So we got the trachea, we have the
Bronchioles.
bronchus.
Yeah, bronchus.
And then we have
Bronchioles.
bronchi, like into bronchioles, etc. Like I'm a terrible artist.
So where does
Just know
bronchiogenic
it's-
carcinoma start? Where does this stuff start out?
In the bronchi
Okay.
things, and the cells in the lumen are the ones that start that.
Okay.
So obviously, the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be obstructions, right? Because it starts to grow, it starts to block areas. That's going to be one of the big problems in that. So if there's no oxygen, and it says that both lungs, one or both lungs, and then those cells don't work as they normally should, so there's no gas exchange. Although I don't know why they say that, because maybe the bronchus also do, or the bronchi also do the gas exchange. But I thought it was just in the
Alveoli are the only places gas exchange. Alveoli are the only place you have gas exchange.
Okay, so I don't know why it said that. But anyway, as tumors grow, they interfere, crowding out normal functioning cells, excreting hormones. That's another big one, because the cancers, the malignant cancers excrete.
Well, do those hormones help? Are they
They-
detrimental or are they
They're
good?
detrimental.
Okay.
Yeah, they interfere with the normal function, so they will stop the lungs from functioning normally. So bronchogenic carcinoma originates in the lining of the bronchi, as I was saying, and it's 90% of lung cancers. The other 10 originate in bronchioles, alveoli, or the trachea. Caused by heavy smoking, of course. They have 20 times, and not just that, but passive smoking. So if you live with a smoker,
You're gonna get
that's
this.
not a good thing either. Yeah, you get 25% or 24% increased risk if you are a passive smoker, if you live with a smoker. You can also be caused by
Utah air.
Utah air pollution, radon gas. Signs and symptoms, sadly, there's no signs and symptoms until it's probably too late.
So how do we detect this? How do we know we get bronchiogenic carcinoma?
Well, usually if they detected early enough, it was just by fluke.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh, we
Something
found this
happened,
thing.
Yeah, something else happened, they found it. They were looking for something different and they found it.
So what if I start getting the nervous twitch in my hand?
So most common lung cancer, 90%. No, the like risk factors, it's equal for men and women.
Smoking,
Air pollution,
radon gas.
Yeah, radon.
Gas.
And
passive smoking. So if you live with a smoker, you're exposed to that smoke all the time.
You better love them because they're gonna kill you. Love will kill you.
no age factors, nothing like that.
Well, no, I would imagine though that, I mean, the longer you've been smoking, the bigger.
Well, and two little kids, their lung tissue is
Yeah.
quite sensitive. So yeah, if you're a 3-year-old and you start kicking back a pack a day, you're probably gonna get some lung cancer.
But that's not something we have to memorize.
Yeah.
I'm just, know,
Yeah.
the questions where she's like, who has the most risk factors? I just need to know.
And you want to choke her because you
Yeah,
can't
so there's
remember
no
all the little
specific
intricacies.
risk factors on this. I mean, not age factor
Uh-huh.
on this one, or at least not in the notes that I saw. So just the smoking, heavy smokers have 20 times greater chance of developing
20
lung
times.
cancer.
That is so huge.
Okay.
That is like 20 times means that you wouldn't do Vegas odds with that because you're gonna lose.
Yeah. And so we were saying no signs and symptoms usually until it metastasizes. And since it's lung, where does it metastasize first?
The brain?
CNS
Yep, central
and the
nervous
brain.
system.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
so close to the meninges, it will metastasize usually first to the meninges. So yeah, usually if you start to have LOC problems like or confusion.
I think I ate some
or
bad chicken. I think I'm gonna die. Yeah.
concentrate, yeah, like your brain starts to act up, or maybe having trouble walking or something. Suddenly,
Yeah.
you're realizing that you're not able to take a step without feeling like you're gonna fall. Then it's probably because it already metastasized to
Okay.
The spine.
CNS.
Yeah.
And then once it's already found, then you're gonna have coughing unrelieved by cough medicine. So there's gonna be a lot of coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, dyspnea, anything that you would expect to see with lung issues. Bloody sputum is another one. So hemoptysis.
Hemoptysis. Yeah.
Yeah, bloody sputum. And then at
What the
near
hell?
end stage, this is dying here, computer saying, oh yeah,
No, it's searching again. There we go.
there we go.
Sorry.
Okay, so near end stage, unaccountable cachexia, right? Unaccountable weight loss, cachexia. So that's where the tumor is stealing all the nutrients to continue to grow because it grows so fast. It needs a lot of nutrition, and it also causes angiogenesis, so it starts to steal blood. And it starts to like basically
Suck up
eat up
your-
the body. Yeah, so your muscle starts to waste away. And
So if people who want a weight loss method, I've got 2 of them for them.
Cancer.
Cancer or dysentery. If you get them and you survive, you're gonna lose weight. But you might die.
it keeps trying to go someplace else.
Stupid
So
things keep
cachexia,
searching.
we were saying.
I'm just not sure what the hell's going on with it.
I should have printed this.
No, you're okay. Just keep going.
Yeah, well, I need to.
You can't see it. Hold on.
Just to remember all
Piece
the-
of crap.
Difficult to treat, the cachexia. Oh, and then the categories, we have the non-small cell cancer, which is also the most common.
There. Okay.
Yes, non-small cell, 2 categories to remember.
Non-small and large
Yeah,
cell. Yep.
non-small and large small. Oh, and then the confirmed biopsy too, like this is confirmed by biopsy.
It's
So
non-small and
And small,
non-small
large.
and yeah, and
Small?
and non-small.
Okay.
Well, I know.
It's messed up. It's so messed up.
Instead of saying like large cell.
Yeah.
and
Small cell.
It's
Non-small cell.
And small cell.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But yeah, non-small are the larger cells. So the squamous, the adenocarcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, and large cell carcinoma. I guess there's a large cell carcinoma.
What does that mean?
So
What does that mean? Adenocarcinoma?
it's the type of cells that are involved in the growth of.
Is that like the shape? of
So
it?
adeno means adrenal.
Adeno is
Adrenal.
in the, yeah, it's in the adrenal glands or type of yeah.
So you look at that base. You look at that base word.
The
Adeno is the base word.
So for
Squamous is gonna be your
bronchiogenic
squamous
carcinoma, which kind is that?
That's
This
the
is all this.
Yeah, bronchogenic. The bronchogenic separates into these
Oh.
small
Ding,
cell
ding,
and
ding, ding.
non-small cell.
Okay,
That was a great question.
got it.
And then we have the small cell cancer, which is also called oat cell cancer.
What is it called again? Small cell?
Oat cell.
Oh, oat
it's
cell. That's
small-
right. Oat
small
cell.
or oat cell.
Why could I not
cancer.
remember that? Son of a gun. Okay.
And that one is only about 10 to 15%.
Oats are small.
Oats.
Oats. I know that's
How do you
weird.
spell
Huh?
that? I didn't-
OAT, like the
Oat.
like oat.
Yeah, like an
cell.
oatmeal.
It probably looks like
Yeah.
oats.
Oat cell
Probably
cancer.
looks
Probably has that look under the microscope. That's what they're calling it now.
That's why they call them that. And the small cell cancer. Or
Can you
oat
think
cell
of a
cancer-
reason, like a test question she could ask us based on those that breakdown? Because I can't. Like, is there any reason we should know the 3 types of non-small cell?
No, but it's good for us to just
It's
know.
good,
They might-
right?
they
But
might
I'm just
say
like, that's
she-
not.
She might say, hey, this patient has adenocarcinoma. Like that could say that, right?
Yeah.
They've been diagnosed with adenocarcinoma. What would be the treatment for that? Well, small cell lung cancer is a hell of a lot more dangerous. It's more aggressive. So with adenocarcinoma, by just as a general rule, you have a little bit more,
Gotcha.
you have a little bit more time to treat it.
Yeah,
You have a
a
little bit more time to develop a treatment plan
Right.
for that.
Also, if she might say something like, this patient has been diagnosed with oat cell cancer. What do you think the treatment will be for that? And most likely that would be palliative care.
Yeah, because it's
Gotcha.
oat cell.
Yeah, you're gonna look at palliative
It's
care.
small cell lung cancer.
Yeah, if
It's
you
most
do-
aggressive. They're
If
dead.
you do any surgery or if you do any type of
Chemo or radiation.
chemo radiation is going to be just to make the tumor smaller so
Yeah.
that their life is not as horrible at the end.
That makes
It's
sense.
just-
Thank
yeah.
you. You answered
So
my
that- I
question.
think that's the only.
So we got like 4 or 5 brains in here. And we actually think this shit up. When it's just the 2 of us, we could look at each other and just go, I don't know. We've actually had that happen. That's why I said that. 'Cause we've been
Well,
sitting
that's
here.
why we have
we-
the books and we get to
Yeah,
go-
we've
look
been looking at each other. I don't know how we'd
answers.
ask that one. And we look at each other, scratching our heads.
Okay, so the small cell cancer also highly malignant and brain metastasis is very common, so there has very poor prognosis. Usually it's going to be chemotherapy as the main treatment, and I guess it's maybe hoping that they will be able to kill the cancer and save them, but most likely it's just going to be
You got a stage
Yeah.
4 malignant cancer from the lungs traveling to the brain.
palliative.
That's bad. Like that's not a good situation going on.
Yep, manifestations of lung cancer, changes in organ function. So there's going to be lung damage, inflammation, and organ failure. And I guess mostly because it's affecting the lungs, so you're going to have an oxygen.
Well, and hormones being
deprivation
secreted that are
problems,
kicking,
hormones
that are
that
kicking, they're making the function of the cells around them not
go
working.
crazy. So that it's
$10
going to
is
affect
this
other-
reduces surfactant. $10 those hormones inhibits for surfactant. And now you have
probably.
now you have
Now you have
ataxis. Atelectasis, yeah.
Atelectasis.
Atelectasis.
Yeah.
A compression of nerves
Say that
and
3
veins,
times.
so or GI obstruction too, so gastrointestinal obstruction. Hormones secreted cause problems we were just talking about, such as low sodium and high calcium in the blood.
Okay, so hold on. So low sodium is going to cause what to happen?
Sodium in the blood is going to leave us.
Is it hypotonic or hypotonic?
It's going to be.
It's
It's
hypo,
gonna
so
cause edema,
fluid is gonna
yeah,
come.
edema is going to come out, so low blood pressure.
Yeah, low blood
hypovolemia,
pressure,
yeah.
hypovolemia, and then
Hypovolemia, which is
what
also
is-
going to lead to hypoxia.
high calcium in the blood is going to
organ-
cause what?
Fluid to come into the blood
Like that.
vessels.
But what about muscle action? If I got a lot of blood, if I got a lot of calcium in my blood, what's it going to do to my
Because
blood?
calcium is skeletal muscles and
Calcium is a conglomerated it relaxes,
Mhm.
so it's going to be probably.
You can't contract your
you're
muscles.
not going to have the ability to contract muscles. You're going to have weakness.
Weakness. There you go. Thank you. Sorry. So jumping again, doing a review in this.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what that stuff means, and you just got to know that. Okay.
And since you have high calcium in the blood too, important thing would be that you're not going to be having like that calcium go to your bones and stuff where they should be. So you're also going to have bone problems and
Yeah.
like this is right there.
Non-specific.
Muscle wasting, pathological fractures,
Yeah.
bone breakdown, pathological. That's it for bronchogenic
Dude.
cancer.
Awesome.
Next one is the process of hemoptysis.
Dude, just bloody
Yeah,
sputum.
bloody sputum. Sputum with blood. Tuberculosis and other bacterial infections are causes of hemoptysis, and they're usually mild to moderate and may be associated with other symptoms, including weight loss and cough with purulent sputum. That it goes like with almost all of these, not all of them.
What does?
The purulent
sputum.
sputum. So that's basically just sputum that has white blood cells and other cell debris and from all the breakdown happening in the lungs. So it's
Harmony, I just
gross.
need to hear your voice. How are you? There it was. I just needed to hear your voice for like 10 seconds. That was it. Thank you. That's a cute blouse, by the way.
Acute and chronic bronchitis are also very common for bloody sputum, usually mild and fluid overload in the brain.
She's having knowledge fluid overload.
Too much.
I can't stop the fire hose.
So, this one, acute and chronic bronchitis, is going to have the low grade fever. The one that I remember the most with the low grade fever. Bronchiectasis is obstruction such as in cystic fibrosis. So there's going to be infection, dilation and infection of the bronchioles and bronchi resulting from obstruction. So anything that's obstructing the airways.
And that's the bronchial.
What?
Bronchial. How do you say that?
What respiratory disease would not cause hemoptysis?
That's, well, maybe. I mean, if you have just a cold and you're, you have a kind of a
So
chest
cold, asthma, but like everything else.
Asthma does not cause.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah, kind of
wouldn't it almost be easier to talk about what
What does
doesn't
not,
cause
yeah.
it?
Well, there's not very many. If you look at it, it's just going to be tuberculosis and other bacterial, the acute and chronic bronchitis, the bronchiectasis, which I don't even think we discussed that very much during class. Lung cancer, which is an obvious one, right? And then pneumonia. So
Okay.
there's only 5.
Okay.
It's not that many. And I guess just knowing that those cause hemoptysis.
This is for when we have a break at Unit 7.
Did you
We'll go through these questions together. So don't worry about them now. Everybody should put the cards down. When we get on Unit 6, we'll take a break. We'll do a couple of review questions and cut questions, and then that'll give you a chance to take a break. Then we'll get a chance to answer, and we'll move on. Is that cool?
Mhm.
Okay.
Good.
Because doing review like sometimes is like you just gotta take a break. You just gotta not
You
die.
have to, yeah. Like you said, it's like brain overload. After a while, it's just so much you're not holding anything else in your head. Okay, Unit 7, kidneys.
Okay, chill. Now we're Unit 7, right?
Wait. What happened to lung cancer in the morning?
Lung cancer. Oh, for
It wasn't on the review sheet.
Yeah, they're just on the review sheet. So I
This
was
is the
just
review
saying
sheet. She took these off the review
Yeah.
sheet. So Tana and Megan have said, wink, wink, make sure you cover this. Okay, so everyone, look at your review cards. There's 3 or 4 questions on there.
Can you send us to me, by the way?
Yeah,
It's on the
actually,
Google Drive
on the
already.
Google Drive.
So everybody who's got a card, look at your card. That would be Harmony, Tanner, and Sandy. You guys get to pick a question out there. So look over them, pick a question. The answers are on the back, so don't just give us the answers. Let's go through one of these questions together, and we'll then try to answer them.
This is like
There's one on there specifically about electrolytes and acid base for you on yours.
Seventh-day Adventist Church. How would I know what would be most appropriate for dietary needs?
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'm saying, but there's one on there that's an acid base question.
Oh, we're
Okay,
gonna
can I
learn.
just read
The
this?
answer's in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, the nurses carry for a client whose religious background is Seventh-day Adventist Church. Which nursing actions, are most appropriate in terms of providing for dietary needs?
I've heard that Seventh-day Adventist is the most similar to Mormonism, so you should have some familiarity. Like no alcohol, no.
So go ahead and read it. What are the
Very
answers? What are the
So
answers?
providing snacks between each meal, providing wine with dinner as requested, removing coffee from the breakfast tray, ensuring that there is no pork on the dinner tray, ensuring that meals are delivered in a timely fashion. So I'm not understanding
Does it say all that apply or just one?
all that applied.
I'm thinking the wine. I don't think they want wine. I don't think they're gonna have coffee.
Yep, probably.
But I think
So
everybody.
we're
I think everybody
trying
wants a
to-
snack, and I think everybody wants their damn tray on time.
But I'm not understanding like
Seventh-day Adventists do not believe on eating in time.
Yeah, hey, they don't care when you show up with their food. They
So
just
we're trying to guess what they need based on their religious background.
yeah. As a nurse,
Yeah.
you would want to be sensitive to their religious background and preferences. Again, the person. Here's a
And
good.
I'm all freaking
here's a good
out.
example. I used to be the food manager at the University of Utah Hospital. There was one room on the 4th floor that the Mormon church had their name on the door. So when you went in there, it was like James E. Faust getting his back worked on. You probably wouldn't take coffee in there.
But if you work somewhere like that, they probably don't have a lot of coffee in there anyway.
No, the rest of the hospital got coffee all the time, and we made a lot of coffee.
Right. Like, I don't think they serve wine in the hospital.
I don't think hospitals serve wine. No, actually, there was wine, but it was for like meetings for the president of the hospital. They had big meetings with the doctors, and they would take wine on the carts in there. It was these little chintzy bottles, but they did serve it. It was under a lock and key. We just, I had to get the key to get it in there.
So what about the pork? Like, I don't know.
Who wouldn't get pork? Who would not get pork by definition?
The
Jews, right?
Jewish people don't eat pork.
What about Muslims?
Muslims don't eat pork
They
either.
don't eat pork?
No, not traditionally. Okay, so what's the answer? Flip it over.
Did you make that question?
No, that's on this NCLEX practice card.
For real?
These are NCLEX practice questions.
Wow.
Yeah, they want you to be
That's ridiculous.
sensitive
I
to
quit.
different religious beliefs.
Well, then you're going to not have a job.
It says review religions and dietary practices. Okay. So coffee and alcohol are usually prohibited.
Okay, so that was the two that we got. Anything else they don't do?
And it says also avoiding overeating, so maybe not the
Snacks between meals.
not the snacks.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
So Seventh-day Adventists don't want snacks, which is crazy. I never heard anybody say that.
That is weird.
And then, did it say they want their meals not on time?
It says they
Wait, this says many members are lacto-ovo vegetarian, which means they will avoid pork. So all of you got that wrong.
Well, it says here that while they advocate vegetarianism, followers do have the choice of eating meat, the meat they choose. So apparently,
The big black number at the beginning of it should be the answers.
Same as kosher.
Okay. So pork,
Kosher is no pork. Kosher,
tobacco, or coffee and alcohol. Were those the three?
Removing coffee from the breakfast
Okay,
tray,
no coffee,
ensuring that there's no pork,
no
and
pork.
ensuring that the meals are delivered in a timely fashion.
Well, hell, everybody wants those. Like that should be Seventh-day Adventists.
It's
Yeah.
super important.
For seven.
Only they want their food on time. Okay, Sandra, you up?
nurses demonstrating adult cardiopulmonary resuscitation
CPR.
chest compression techniques to healthcare team members. Which action performed by a member on return demonstration indicates the need for additional teaching in the performance of CPR? So are we looking for correct answers or incorrect answers?
So they're asking.
They're asking
Well, which ones would
the need for
necessitate
additional
more
teaching.
training?
So what are they getting wrong?
So you're watching somebody else do CPR as the instructor. You're watching them do chest compressions.
So first, they let their fingers rest on the chest. Second, they straightens the arms and locks the elbows. Third, keeps the shoulders directly over the hands. And fourth, places the heel of the hand on the lower half of the sternum.
Don't give the answer out.
Why not?
Well, not yet. Give us a chance to answer it. So,
That last one.
I don't
so you want to help demonstrate? We'll do this together. You want to help demonstrate?
Sure.
Okay. So this is something this is ER people and EMS people do this awesome. They are so good at CPR because this is all they ever do.
Okay.
They don't push drugs. They don't care about electrolytes in the body. They don't care about any of this stuff. So I'm the dead body. I'm the person in CPR.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so do this correct. You guys can stand up if you need to. So he's gonna CPR me. So come up here next to me. Just get right next to me. Okay, so he's gonna CPR me. So go ahead and find my sternum right here. Okay. So when he does it, he's gonna place the heel of his hand right in the not too low. That's too low.
So
Right.
not at the bottom.
Right between the nipples. That's where you want to be.
Okay.
Okay. Then you're gonna put your hands together like this, right? Cup them together. And put the heel of the hand right in the center of my sternum. Okay. Now bend your elbows. Bend them. Does that look right?
No.
That doesn't even work, right?
Yeah, you want locked elbows
The locked
for sure.
elbows, and he's gonna want his body weight over.
Yeah,
straight
he
over
wants
me.
his shoulders over so
push
that
back,
he can have
push
more
back away from me.
pressure.
Like lean back away from me. Okay. So now try to do progressions like that out there.
You can't do it.
You can't do
You
it.
have to be
Right.
like literally almost
Move
right
over,
on top
and then
of the
now he
person.
can push down.
So that means 2 and 3 are right.
Yep. Okay. Now,
Locking the elbows,
what's the last one? Number 4.
Places the heel of the hand on over the lower half of the sternum.
Okay. So that in between the nipple line, which is right where he's at, right there. That's where he's gonna want. That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So letting the fingers rest on the chest.
Yeah, that is not correct. So
Incorrect.
you want your fingers completely, and it hurts. It's hard to do it. Hold your fingers.
Completely out like this.
No, you want one hand's cupped over the other one, and you want to keep the other fingers up off their chest.
So that you're more, like focusing on an
all
area
your
or
power is
spot.
going to the heels of your hands. and then you push
Like
down.
that.
Yep. If the fingers touch the chest,
And it
moves
also
the
helps.
pressure over there.
It also
Okay.
helps prevent accidental injury to internal organs.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So what's the answer?
Resting the fingers on the.
Resting the fingers because you want to maximize the effectiveness and you want to
Not hurt 'em.
minimize damage to internal organs.
Boom. Who's next? Tanner, you got a card? Sure. Okay, that was it. Good job, guys.
Okay.
This is so much fun to get a little bit away from what we just talked about. I want to learn about Seventh Day
It'd be
Adventists.
more fun if we
Oh
didn't
my
have a
God.
test on
Monday.
Monday.
I can't believe that's a real question. I'm worried now.
You know, the
Well, not-
sooner,
we're not gonna have that
the
this
sooner we
week.
start practicing on this NCLEX
The better it's-
questions, the better for
we're
us.
gonna be easier to
get
get.
used to that.
Yep.
and
That's why
eventually
you guys can hate
we'll
me
get there
today,
and take that NCLEX and kill it.
but in 2 years when you pass your NCLEX, you'd be like, man, Chris Carlisle was really mean to me 2.5 years ago, but now I passed.
would
but I
never
passed my
even
shit.
guess to try and look for a question like that in my life.
Yeah. Okay, Tanner,
Okay, so I want to try and do this the way that Megan does it in front of the classroom.
let's do it.
So,
let's do it.
so which client is at greater risk for fluid volume deficit?
Risk
Ooh.
factors.
So what's the main topic?
Fluid deficit.
Fluid volume deficit.
Right?
So-
Okay.
Hypovolemia.
Hypovolemia.
Awesome.
Man,
And it says most at risk, so that means we're
the
gonna
number of
find
risk
more than
factors.
one true
The number of
thing.
risk factors.
Okay, yeah. Number of risk.
Most at risk. It might not be number.
Yeah.
It might be
so-
severity.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so the client on diuretic therapy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're getting rid of the
By
fluid.
definition,
Yeah, she
diuretic
always
means
says A,
what?
and then she puts how many risk factors.
A,
So
yeah.
A,
So like
B,
A
you have at
is
least one risk factor,
D.
right?
Okay,
So
so
one risk factor for
One.
A.
okay,
Diuretics can make you low volume.
okay. The client on fertility medications.
No
Gosh,
idea.
I have no idea. I want to say she said there's one a risk to like birth control, though, right?
Control,
I
yeah.
But it
don't
wasn't
think
hypovolemia.
No,
Yeah, we might not know that. We might need to look at the back.
Wait. So just put a question mark there.
Okay.
Yeah. Fertility medications, who knows?
Okay, the client on corticosteroid therapy.
No, steroid, like that's steroid.
That has nothing to do with hypovolemia. Again, that's hormones. Corticosteroid has nothing to do with hypovolemia.
So put a no. 0.
Zero.
That's the best gum in the world.
And then D, the client on anti-seizure medications.
It's a maybe because doesn't.
Sure, something with the brain, maybe your.
If they're on anti-seizure, it's probably
Yeah,
gonna
sodium
be an
imbalance.
electrolyte
Yeah,
imbalance, but
okay.
it's not gonna be hypovolemia. It's gonna be an electrolyte imbalance.
Is it going to be hypervolemia?
Well, I'm just saying they're gonna have an electrolyte imbalance most likely.
So 3 we're unsure, or
There's one that we know for
and
sure,
one that
right?
we know for sure.
When we know
is-
by definition, diuretic therapy,
Yeah.
it's saying, ding, 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 this has to do with fluid. This has to do with we're pulling fluid from the body.
I
The
say
other
A.
ones are we're digging deep, we're digging down. Oh, kind of sort of 3 lines into the little red text. It was type 8 font. It says something about diuretic stuff, right? Okay, so as she always says, don't dig deeper than you need to. By definition, there's
Right,
one.
but if we don't know,
Everybody, I
I
think everybody in here knew
Okay,
that
so what does it
diuretic
say?
meant fluid, right?
We're
Yeah.
up to
So-
Read the explanation.
It is A.
It is, okay, so what does it say about?
So read the whole thing. Read the explanation because it has an explanation.
The client on diuretic therapy is at risk for fluid volume deficit due to increased fluid loss through diuresis. Clients on fertility medications, corticosteroid therapy, and anti-seizure medications are not at risk for this disorder.
that's
It has
the
nothing
worst
to do with-
explanation ever.
Yeah,
Well-
it just has nothing to do with
Fluid loss, fluid volume.
loss,
Yeah.
yes.
Test taking strategy. Note the subject.
Like
volume
you
deficit.
did.
Yep. Note the options 2, 3, and 4 are comparable or alike because they are unrelated to fluid balance in the body.
Or at least not directly. Even if they were, it's not as direct as diuretic.
It's I've dug down secret squirrel style, and now I got the answer. Oh, you know what? 3 days from Friday, it's like I got some crazy birth control I saw. Yeah, it might, but diuretic therapy is clearly going to affect that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was fun. Okay, guess what?
Fun times.
Addie, guess what you get to do?
I got it.
Back to unit 7 now. We're gonna work on the Kidneys.
Dude, I'm.
Have fun.
Yes. So. Woo!
All right.
Okay, sorry, I won't do
Kidneys
that.
are awesome.
Functions of the kidneys.
Filter blood,
Just
filter
blood,
blood pressure.
blood pressure
That's-
regulation.
Wait.
There's 6 of them.
That's what I want to
We
know.
still
There's
like
6.
you. We still like you, even though we're pissing you off.
Filters blood.
That's the
That was awesome.
main, right?
That makes sense.
Then
Okay.
what does it do with regulation of blood pressure?
The blood volume.
Blood volume. So it's
So
blood pressure
filtering,
regulation.
blood pressure regulation,
Another one, acid base, very important one. Acid base regulation.
also regulate. Okay,
because it excretes.
because it has the chance to just
it
yeah.
excretes the hydrogen ions in order to regulate when there's acidosis,
yes.
and retains also or excretes the bicarb.
Yes.
So that's how it regulates acid base. And then we have erythropoietin. Is another one of
Oh,
them. And so
yes.
it produces the erythropoietin that is sent to
That's-
bone marrow to
Starts up
produce
RBC
red
production.
blood cells, red blood cells. Then the other one is going to be renin, another big one. Because without renin, we cannot have the RAS.
RAS
It's
break
happening.
down. RAS breaks down.
So renin is very important.
Can
as well.
anybody explain the RAS system? Can you guys just break it down?
Yep, I know that one.
Okay, so what? So Harmony just volunteered to go up there and draw it out.
Yes. Wait, no.
There's one more. There's one more.
Okay.
Activate the vitamin D is very important.
Yes.
Calcium. We need to absorb calcium and we need vitamin D in order to do that.
So how would we know? How would we know that was not working? How would we know that wasn't working?
Probably have problems
Bone
with
fracture.
bone-
Hypercalcemia in the blood.
Hypercalcemia in the blood.
Yep, that's going to be the way that we're going to give that away.
Uh,
I got my cute
fractures.
Converse on today too.
cool.
Okay, guess what, Harmony?
Yeah.
Hop up there and show us how to do it. Let me give you.
We haven't done the azotemia, uremia.
You know what? I just want to abuse Harmony for 10 minutes.
I
I just want to abuse Harmony. Harmony, hop up there and do RAS for us.
Yeah, we'll do
Because Harmony has been so quiet, I think we really need to bring her in. All in favor of bringing Harmony in?
You're here
Aye.
for Harmony.
In like 10 minutes?
No, in like 30 seconds or less.
Fine, okay.
You're still our favorite person. We still like you.
Uh-huh.
Neutral.
Don't be, you can't be neutral. What are you talking neutral? Who are you? Switzerland?
Are
Come
you
on.
guys impressed that I found a shoe that would fit this foot?
Yeah, what happened?
She hurt her ankle yesterday.
Look how fat
Dude,
that is.
I'm gonna start calling you Pocahontas. Did you put some ice on that?
Those are sweet.
Have you wrapped that, or is that just? That's swelling on it. You got.
That's a really thick sock.
So we okay.
Because I wanted it to
Please.
compress it.
I still like you. We need to wrap that.
It has been wrapped the whole time. I just put on a shoe to go out my
Okay.
house.
Man, you're hurting my
I
feelings.
wanted to wear a shoe. Okay.
Those are cute.
This was the
Pocahontas
only
shoes.
shoe that would fit out of all my shoes.
Dude, that is. How painful
So
is
these
that?
kidneys.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Better today.
Have
Way.
Oh, was it really? Because until last night, it was really bothering you.
Yeah, last night was bad.
Which triggers them to release renin.
Oh, is that a cute little frowny face?
There's that.
They're sad.
They have
And this is why I wanted Harmony to do this. Because I don't draw smiley faces on
Okay,
my
so
organs.
perfusion means that the blood is not getting to
low
them.
oxygen running through the blood and then.
Or does it-
Volume of
Low blood
going
pressure.
through-
Okay.
Yeah.
So then this renin is going to hook up with angiotensinogen.
Where are they doing this hookup?
Blood sheet.
Dude, you
Yeah,
got
but
it. Bloodstream. Where's the angiotensinogen coming from?
Liver.
Okay, those party people are coming from the liver, bitches. You guys, when I get to the lungs on this, you guys are. Some of you already know what I do when I get to the lungs.
Oh, I can't wait.
Did you hear me do this?
I don't think so.
I think you did. When I do it, you'll remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They're gonna hook up.
Oh,
they're
Oh, they're holding hands. It's so cute. So what's their
What's their baby?
What's their
What
love
baby
name?
do they have?
No, there's like Tay Swift. What's their love name? I've got a love name.
Rensinogen.
Anti-renin.
It'd be Ren Tenson.
Oh no, their name should be what they produce.
Oh, okay.
Angiotensin 1.
Oh, that's
I
their
know
love
that's not
child.
as cute, but like,
That's their love child. It's like Kanye and Kim. Their love child's Angiotensin 1. If any of you have a child and name it Angiotensin 1, I'm gonna be pissed at you. Okay, Angiotensin 1.
if I hook up with Kanye, I'm gonna name our first child
Angiotensin 1.
I'm gonna name
I'd like to just.
Yeah.
Why did you name your kid angiotensin 1? You'll be like, well, I had the study
I
group.
promised.
I made a promise.
Right? Yeah. So they hook up, they make angiotensin 1.
Which goes where? Don't look at your notes. Where does it go? Where does it go? I know, but where does it go?
It goes to the dance club. It goes to the party people.
Oh, think about this. Hey, wait, we're not there yet. Hold on. So now, angiotensin 1. What's the angio?
You can just write A1 if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
angiotensin.
Just write A1. I think we're all
Yeah,
big
A1
boys and
and
girls.
2.
Yeah, A1.
Well, A1 goes to the lungs and something happens before it becomes A2.
So there's a party going on in the
So
lungs.
it's made in the lungs.
And the DJ's name is Ace.
And ACE comes.
That's the DJ's name in the lungs. It's
So
Ace.
ACE is
Rejecting
made in the
that.
lungs.
Rejected.
What? What? You can't reject that.
Rejected.
You cannot reject the dance party in the
I'm
lungs.
not even sure that there's a dance party in the lungs.
There's all this respiration going on. Things are moving around.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot more going on in the lungs than going on in the liver. Come on.
And turned into angiotensin.
Well, see, what happens
So
is
techno's
the
going on.
angiotensin in the blood
Ace is
How
on
about
the-
the heart?
and in the lungs.
But this doesn't go to the heart.
I know, but I'm saying the heart's having a party
The
all
heart's-
the time.
I
In
don't-
fact, the heart is going.
The heart's got his
So
two,
it's
got his
another
two
love
buddies,
child.
A and
Now
T and
from
B and P.
A1
I mean,
and
just
Those are his homeboys. A and T, B and P.
lower.
That's right. They're like slow rider. Oh, what's up?
And he goes and he activates on the kidney.
So where
Where are the
specifically?
kidneys?
Adrenal gland.
There we go.
In what part of the adrenal gland?
On top of it, right?
The top of it is called the cortex.
And that releases aldosterone.
What does A2 do?
A2 has a job before it gets to the adrenal cortex. He leaves the dance party. He's like, dude, I gotta do something.
It does two
I gotta
things,
do something
yeah.
right now.
It vasoconstricts.
So angiotensin 2
Like,
has
oh,
energy. I got some energy.
I feel like he's
I'm gonna-
coked up.
Yeah,
Is that what happened at the party?
That's right. He's coked up. He's coked up.
Come on now.
You got just for the sake of the caveat, this is going on the net right now.
Come on now.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
There are
then
people
you know we
looking
implied
at
that
something
I
like,
like to
you
cook
go
up.
to the lungs and you get coked up, and then you have to constrict something when you leave. So you just only there is the blood vessels.
Well, isn't Coke a vasoconstrictor too?
I think it is. It does drive the blood
Well,
pressure up.
that causes
And like,
Oh, we just connected
We just
that.
connected the blood pressure to
Right?
Coke.
It actually retains
It's also a neural
sodium,
transmitter.
and-
Oh, yeah.
And the water follows the sodium.
So it makes it go in.
And
Then-
it keeps the sodium so it pulls water,
And then it wants to send up water.
which leads to
Higher blood pressure.
There you go.
More,
Beautiful.
more volume in the blood vessels to higher blood pressure.
And we've all and we.
I'm looking for Amy Elizabeth. She said she was coming. And
There we go.
I haven't heard from her. That's okay.
Sweet.
Okay, everyone.
Yay.
Harmony.
Harmony.
Yay, harmony. Okay, we're back. Let's go back to our notes. So I think we can.
So
Safely.
where does that vasoconstriction come from?
So vasoconstriction is another one of the jobs of angiotensin 2. So angiotensin does two things. It vasoconstricts, which also raises blood pressure, and it triggers the release of aldosterone from the cortex of the adrenal.
Which tells the kidney to keep the sodium, baby.
Which, yeah,
Bam.
which then directs the kidneys to hold the sodium, and the water follows the sodium. And now you can feel bad about erasing your beautiful. Hey, how's it going?
You can take her chair. You can take this chair. That's
Yeah,
a better chair.
you're good wherever you want to.
You just missed the dance party.
Yeah.
You-
It's a little bit brass.
It's really sad.
DJ Ace is throwing down beats in the lungs. He rips it out. He goes angiotensin 2. Now he's
I
coked
think
up.
you should make a video and act it out.
If I get 5 points
Maintain
extra
the
credit,
innocence
I'll
of
do it.
B2.
Do it. Send it to me.
You get coked up, so I can't do any. I gotta get rid of some of this, so I constrict the blood vessels, and then I go down to the adrenal cortex and go take some sodium up, baby.
All right, so the important terms that we had.
Okay, now back to the unfun way to study. Okay, let's go.
Azotemia.
I'm teasing you, Patty. I'm sorry.
Azotemia is increased BUN and creatinine in the blood, in the serum, but with no signs of systemic problems yet. So this is
So we need to remember that by you can. This
Yeah.
is stupid, but like I think of stupid ways. Okay.
Can I think of
So
stupid
like
ways?
A to Z, you've gone through all the signs and symptoms A to Z, and there's nothing showing up. Azotemia. But then uremia, you're like,
That you're in
lots of
trouble.
organs are failing.
Or you can think of this as in
That's cute.
the body's compensating. The body compensates and the body fails. So A is
So A comes first.
A comes
'cause
first.
it's
So the body's compensating.
And U is ooh,
You is
good
failing.
one.
Yeah,
That-
you is you now
Sure,
you're
that
failing.
makes more sense.
No, it's
Way
just
less
So how do you think they might ask that? In the
so they'll give you and they'll say, hey, you got a patient who come in and they're a CrossFit generation person and they just got done working out 3 hours ago and their bun and their creatine levels are high. Are you going to expect systematic signs and symptoms of that person? Because why? They are healthy and they've been working out. The next patient is, I've got Johnny, the video gamer who weighs 382 pounds, is type 2 diabetic, and he's got elevated bun and creatine levels. What's the first thing going in your mind? Kidney failure. He's going to start having issues because the reason his bun and creatine levels are elevated do not match a fitness-based response.
And he's gonna have another problem. So he's gonna have like liver issues.
Yeah,
Or all kinds of.
He's gonna have bad. He's gonna have bad poo poo. He's gonna not breathe good. Okay, right. Okay, did that answer your question? So that would be that's the giveaway. If you have a healthy person with elevated bun and creatine, we're gonna most likely expect that to be normal, and their body will compensate. But someone who just got done running a marathon and they haven't run in 10 years, they're gonna have some issues.
Yeah, we're gonna know.
Then we have the polyuria, oliguria, and anuria. Lots of urine. So that's not going to be necessarily a problem. And not diseases. It could be due to diabetes. I guess some people with
diabetes.
Type 2, they do have that a lot. But
Pregnant ladies.
It could just be that you drank a lot of water, like you were just. It was
For those of you who have children, you do pee a lot more, right? Just drink and pee.
When you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Or afterwards?
Or both, or I don't know.
Well, when you're pregnant, I think it's more because you have the
You
baby
have no
pressing on
room.
your.
You have a smaller bladder.
Yeah, on the bladder, so
I'm so glad I'm a dude.
And when it's
talk about pregnancy,
and
I'm so glad I'm
when you're done being pregnant, it's because you have no bladder control.
You're just like,
And oliguria, just decreased urine production, not necessarily, just be dehydration, but it could also be kidney damage. It's one of the first signs of kidneys beginning to fail. So oliguria, decreased urine. And then anuria is no urine production. So you're basically there's no pee whatsoever. And that's because your kidneys
Did
are
we do the
overworked.
lab tests?
Did we? Let's see. Go up. Nope, I don't think we did.
Lab tests.
Well, yeah, we did not. The lab test associated with the kidney, we talked about one, that's the
blood
I know
urea
that
nitrogen.
urea nitrogen, and that's
So that's-
less than 20.
Testing for whether you have urea in your urine, because if you do, then it means or if you don't,
You normally have urea.
you normally have urea,
just
right?
at a low level, under 20.
So if you have,
So look at the whole name of it. What's the whole name of it? Blood urea nitrogen. What is the thing that we want to get rid of? Nitrogen. So nitrogen is the relative number that the 20 is in relation to the nitrogen because
so,
urine is what pee is.
so
It is
if your
pee.
bun is low, it means your kidneys aren't working, or if
No.
your bun is high.
If you're low, yes, if it's high.
If it's
then
too
you-
high,
yeah.
it means you got too much nitrogen in your blood and it's staying in the blood. You can't piss it off fast enough.
Okay, cool.
There
So
you go.
creatinine is,
Creatinine is the muscle breakdown, so it's.
which also
It
gets
works
expelled
out.
with your urine.
Right,
So if
it works
creatinine
out
is
on the
high,
muscle breakdown, then it's going to be creatinine. So if it's high creatinine,
you've either
normal,
just worked
yeah.
out or your kidneys aren't working.
right. It could be.
Okay, and then GFR.
You're not limiting
That's
nitrogen
the
from your system, and nitrogen is poison.
glomerular filtration rate. That's such a hard thing to
It becomes
say.
ammonia.
Glomerular.
Filtration
Glomerular.
rate.
I practiced that like one night,
I know.
80 times in a
I
row.
still can't get it
So the
right.
free hydrogen
Okay, so
are
that
associated
is
with
how
nitrogen.
fast your kidneys.
That is, how much blood your kidneys are filtrating.
So if it's low, it means kidneys aren't working as well.
Well, it should be between 1.01. No, that's the
There's a
fixed.
That's the
right.
specific.
Yeah,
That's the-
85.
that's-
Oh,
Yeah.
GFR should be 125.
125.
Normal range is like 80 to
135.
35.
135.
Or something like that, yeah.
Okay,
So that's
so
just how much blood it's being filtrated by the.
Yeah, 125 is the average amount every minute.
but
Yeah.
normal is What did you say?
80 to 135.
87,
85 to
85 to 135. Okay, so then specific gravity.
Specific gravity.
Specific
that's
gravity is my
one.
favorite. This is my
Yeah.
favorite. I love this
It's
one.
just concentration of the urine.
It's like the
How much stuff is in
how much
it?
stuff is in it, basically.
So,
and
Harmony,
compared to water.
what is the definition of specific gravity? Not nursing specific gravity, chemistry specific gravity.
So like compared to water, if it floats, like all the stuff in it, if it's like if it's floating as much as water, then you're in trouble.
Okay,
It's
so
more dense.
water specific gravity is 1. Gasoline is 0.79. If it's lighter, then
So
it's
urine is a little bit
heavier
than
water.
normally.
Yeah,
Yep.
it has more
Because it has
concentration
urine and stuff in it, so it's gonna sink.
So if it's getting bigger, it's worse.
It's heavier.
Because
Okay,
you have a
anything
lot
outside
more
that
stuff.
zone is
If
bad.
there's blood in there, if your protein's in there, you have your
So I'll give you an example. So if I'm at if my specific gravity is 1.040, what's happened to my concentration of everything else? It's gone up. So now I have a higher concentration of solutes in solution. That's damaging to the kidneys. It means that the concentration's off.
Okay.
What happens if I get a specific gravity of 1.005? I'm getting closer to 1. Now I have no concentrates in my urine.
Which means you've
not
probably got some
filtering
kidney
stuff.
damage.
You're not kidney damage. I'm a nurse and I just gave them 1,000 liters of fluid and I didn't
Yeah,
check
they're
it.
over
Now you're in
That's
fluid
not a word.
overload. Fluid overload. Now they're in fluid
They're
overload.
fluidized.
Okay, so that's a problem. Why is fluid overload a problem?
Because it's going to collect in their lungs.
There we go. So this zone is what's healthy for our kidneys and the rest of the
Okay.
system. Closer to 1 means there's too much fluid, the solutes available. Lower than 1.030. Lower than that means that now I've got relative concentrate solutes too high. So now I've got the possibility of kidney stones. I have the possibility of edema. I have my blood's now becoming more viscous. Everything is going to be worse at a higher level.
And then the things we should not see in the urine.
Red blood cells.
Red blood cells, obvious.
White blood
White
cells.
blood cells infection. Protein albumin, because that means that the
The glomerulus is breaking down.
kidneys are breaking down.
With the glomerulus, is either capillary, leaky capillary thing happens to.
Oh,
So
because there's like
yeah.
too big a gaps and
the
It
protein
flows
are
out.
able to escape. Because
Yeah.
proteins can
Protein should
escape
not be able to.
before red blood cells because of
Yeah,
size
red blood
difference.
cells are much bigger. Yeah.
And then glucose also should be too big to escape. And you see glucose in urine from diabetics a lot, right?
diabetes.
Correct.
And then casts just means that it's so dense. The urine is so
Casts
dense
are
that
crystals.
it's
That's
crystallizing.
So
kidney
if you have
stones.
calcium phosphate, so if your urine is alkaline, calcium phosphate is going to cause calcium calculus. And then if you have
Basic.
acid, if you have a lot of uric acid, then you're going to have the uric
Crystals are going to form.
Okay.
Gout is
Yeah.
what that's called.
the
It's gout. It's gout when it's uric crystals.
Sweet, thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, so we passed the
Beat
RAS
the hell out of
system.
that.
We've already done the RAS system.
We done the RAS. Thank you, Harmony.
Hey, Harmony.
Okay, what's happening in the lungs? Party time. Ace is the DJ.
So, ADH is another way to control or increase blood pressure, right? That is, the ADH is produced by the
Where?
hypothalamus. It is stored in the.
So I'm sorry. Is it Anne Marie? Is that right?
Amy Elizabeth.
Amy Elizabeth. Sorry. So you were saying you were answering. You totally just answered that. What was the answer?
No, it's the posterior pituitary. It's
Okay.
in the
Oh,
posterior
see, get up there and
pituitary.
draw that one.
I have a horrible habit of just calling on people.
I have a good one for this one, yeah.
How about there?
You do it, you do it.
Okay, white screen.
I like her. I like her drawings. They're also
Turn this off though.
Yeah.
Look at how's that.
This is,
It's gonna
so,
burn that.
Oh, okay.
I don't care.
It's not like this one. Woo! I'm gonna drink. Yeah.
Now that I've always known like acts on the hypothalamus through the posterior pituitary, but our professors specifically don't want us talking about the hypothalamus.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, because when I answered that, they were like, no. They
What
want
are we
to make
talking about?
sure they want to make sure that we know it's
ADH.
the posterior pituitary.
The posterior pituitary.
So just ignore the intermediary.
Yeah.
And just think posterior.
Yeah, because
pituitary.
it does act on the
More
hypothalamus through that, but we're not going there.
We're not gonna get that in depth.
So, in my picture, I have like the brain and then this, because I think that like posterior pituitary looks like that.
Yeah, wait,
So-
I see that too.
It does though. So
I can
I'm still
find
gonna
it.
draw that part, just so that it
Right
doesn't
there.
just sit by itself. Easier to remember that.
Are we talking about the RAS system?
No, the
No,
it's the
ADH.
Oh.
We've already done that.
Well, yeah.
But
ADH.
angiotensin 2 is making another
So
fun.
this is the opposite. Now
So
we're gonna try-
angiotensin 2 acts on the posterior pituitary. That's what actually activates.
So it is kind of like an offshoot of the RAS system?
It is.
Because you have to, like, is there another way that angiotensin 2 is produced besides the RAS?
That I know of, no. But that's just the way I was taught.
Pulling it off?
Yeah, I'm just pulling some air in here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I guess I could take off my
I'm
sweatshirt.
gonna go get a drink as well.
It's up by the front door. It's kind of hard to see it. But yeah, studying in a group is way more fun than studying by yourself. Let's just be honest. It's way more fun.
No.
And I will
It's
explain
nice
this
to have
one.
other
Forget
people,
fun.
like,
Like, I don't
how they
make
see it.
myself do it if I'm alone.
Yeah,
I'm
And,
like,
that,
oh,
and
I
there's
could
also
just
that.
sit at my
There's,
house.
there's also that too.
Yeah, see, I like when you draw it out. I'm gonna have to take pictures of your drawing.
Dude, you can draw. Is it Amy Elizabeth? Is that right? Look at man, your handwriting. Man, she draws.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, your stuff's awesome.
But my spelling is atrocious. So no,
Oh, don't worry about
Well,
This is
that.
why I draw, is because I can't spell it.
It's okay. I can't spell either. It's 2:30.
And I'm so sorry I'm late. I was
No.
supposed to get out of clinicals much earlier.
You're fine. You're totally good. Yeah, that's why we do this. Amy Elizabeth, just so you know, we also do this online. So if you want me to add you to our online, start inviting you to it so you can get online with us. We do like 90% of our study groups online. So you don't have to go anywhere. Just do it from wherever you're at.
As I really take advantage of. You see me like lying on my wooden floor, then I'm like lying on my
I gotta go open the door.
Yeah.
That was funny. That's the best gun in the world, by the way.
Like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Take some of that.
Yeah, hook yourself. That's why we brought him.
Thank you.
Study group doesn't have to suck. They provided this beautiful fan, which is like seriously, that's a godsend.
I mean,
Well, they get-
Intern to get
Yeah,
there, you asked for it.
each one of these has a fan and the pins in it.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, that's the first thing that goes up that dang fan.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the review for us, by the way. I really appreciate that because I was working on it, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to freaking do
Hopefully
this.
it helps you. I wish I could do beautiful stuff like that, but I'm just like,
yeah, I was
just write
thinking,
information.
I was
Not a
thinking
drawer
that it
either.
wasn't beautiful enough, and I was a little
Right?
angry
You
at
were like,
like, come
where are
on,
the
if you're gonna be
pictures?
doing my work, make it pretty.
where are the pictures?
Where's the artwork?
Where's the artwork?
Where's the artwork?
Come on.
Where's the artwork? You know, I probably should do the RAS system as like a video with like, and like really like
Give
do
that
a.
kid that wrapped it.
I know we could do like I'll do like a interpretive dance and see that. So I'm like,
Wait, did you wrap it too? No?
it was the other girl.
Someone-
That other girl
It
did
was
it.
Liz.
Yeah, that girl.
Oh,
did
okay.
it,
Liz
yeah.
wrapped it. I told her she should go up, and she's like, I haven't done the whole system, but no one had done the whole.
Okay, this is going online, so don't admit that we're not studying before class, okay? That's actually not true. If we get the notes early, I actually start pushing to go through them.
Hmm.
Like the gastric stuff, like
I wish we would get them earlier.
Before class?
yeah, I push I push our teachers to put them up sooner, like before.
Yeah.
And if she does, then I get them up and I start building that slide deck
Last
early.
time I read through the packet before class, and it was like night and day difference for me.
Difference, and
Yeah.
you understand at least most of what they're talking about.
Well, and you know the flow. You know what's
But that's
coming
the
next.
first time.
That's cool. Okay.
Usually,
That was Sandra Zarachi, or how do you say your last name?
That's on you. You're gonna out me.
That was Sandra.
Zarachi,
Angiotensin
I
too.
like that. Okay,
All right.
tell us all about this.
That pin does work. You just gotta aim. You gotta be straight up and down.
And there's more over there. Too, baggy.
Man, you're coloring, man.
I know.
She's got like a big gulp
I'm
up
taking
there.
a picture of this.
Yeah.
This is
So awesome. The big gold cup is so cool.
I know. Yeah, like the big gulp cups. Shoot. I started doing my Bruce Willis hair. I've been growing that the top out. I put some gel in it today, Bruce Willis, and I pull it down.
Does
It's not all-
he do that?
when he had hair on the top, he glued it down, like it was all pulled back and slipped down. So I'm Bruce Willis until I get enough to put like the rubber band in it and pull up the.
Ooh,
Top.
please, yes.
I'm going tribal.
Please
I'm
do
going
that.
totally
I want
Viking
that.
with it. Yeah.
So what helps me with this is I drew that just because I didn't want it to look like. But anyway, angiotensin it acts on the posterior pituitary gland, and that's the reason why I colored only the back part of it. And then that releases ADH, and I have a symbol for ADH. I have a symbol for diuretic hormone, which is -4 degrees because it looks like a little man pooping.
If you say poop, you have to say.
Wait,
So,
tell
but
me.
it reminds me, so then I know, like, when I see that, I know it's diuretic hormone, and then when I have the same symbol but crossed out, then I know it's anti-diuretic hormone. So, I don't know if that's helpful for anybody else.
Do not erase that. Do not erase that.
So you just.
Make no this. I can't see it with the red line through it.
It's anti-diuretic, -4 degrees.
Okay, but and so we just in our minds
So-
flip the poo for pee.
Well, yeah. But I'm like, because I think diarrhea.
Because
that's like when I first heard that, I was like, oh, it's like pooping. So then I was like starting like when I was writing notes in class, you have to write fast.
yeah.
So it'd be like -4 degrees, like anti-diuretic.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
So it releases, the little man pooping, like no little man pooping. So like anti-diuretic hormone, which increases H2O reabsorption by the kidneys. And
That's sodium based.
this is supposed to be brown red.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was gonna say, I was like,
I associate colors.
where's the brown?
Like I associate colors a lot too.
That's
that's
smart
what
to
helps
do
me.
that.
So then I know that there's a blue and a brown here. And it reminds me that it has to do with water and kidneys. So it's like increased water and its reabsorption by the kidneys. Stabilizes blood volume. And anything that's red is either arteries or blood.
Nice.
That also helps me remember. So it stabilizes blood volume. So stabilizes the specific little cups of blood. And then mean arterial pressure is increased, which increases the glomerular filtration rates. And then the other way that it also affects is that it affects the posterior pituitary, which the cerebral cortex is what this is supposed to be.
That's the gray matter on the outside.
So it's just the outside. It's not any of the inside. So I should probably take off the.
Yeah, green matter on the outside.
And then that actually actively makes you. This is something that we're aware of, and that's the reason why it's. This is all we're unaware of it, but this we're aware of. So you feel thirsty, you grab a big gulp. That increases the volume, which also increases the mean arterial pressure, which also increases the glomerular.
Wow. That's awesome.
We got a picture of that.
You guys are so encouraging. I love it. Thank you.
No, hey man, it's all game. It's game on, man. That's got that picture is gonna go on the Google Drive. That picture's going on the Google Drive. That picture is going on the Google Drive. Hell, I should have videoed you doing it and put that on the Google Drive. Although, would we really want a big gulp, or do we want like you saw in a water bottle?
Well,
Like-
the reason I put the big gulp is because when my professor was saying it, she was like,
Drinking a massive big
so
gulp.
she's like, it like, you know, initiates the cerebral cortex, and then she like grabbed a big gulp and makes you drink. And like, it stuck with me. So then every time I thought about it, like, for me, a lot of the stuff is just like what makes me think.
Yeah, it
that.
makes sense.
So it might not work for you guys.
No, it's still better than nothing, though.
It's still
Even
better
if
than
it's
it's
out
better
of
than
your
the
brain.
big black
It's
hole that we have right now.
exactly.
Okay, Addie, you gonna keep going?
Why don't you keep going? No, somebody else.
Okay, Tanner, get your butt up there. Let's go.
Notes are there, so.
The notes are right there.
Yeah, notes are right
Wanna
there.
erase that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got a
thank you
picture of
so
it.
We all took pictures already.
You do know that you give up,
Comment is
you give up all intellectual property rights as soon as you shout out to the study group. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's going on the Google Drive and it's we're gonna. Okay, we're good. Okay, ADH,
Okay.
ANP, BNP.
ANP, BNP.
So,
What does it do?
first
Raise
off,
or
yeah.
lower blood pressure?
Lowers. And they both come from which organ?
Heart.
Heart. Yes. Yep.
Brain is the heart.
And what makes them
The brain of the heart.
It happens when the atriums or ventricles.
That's only the.
So A and
Oh,
B.
it's only A and P.
A and P.
By definition, it's
No, it's
atrial
not the atrial,
natriuretic
it's
peptide. Atrial natriuretic peptide, by its name, says what it is.
Okay.
So when the atriums are stretched or overstretched,
Yeah.
then you're going to get
No,
ANP.
it's only the BNP.
BNP is a
It's the one
ventricle
that's
of
stretched. The ANP is not. That one's from the atrium.
But
Yeah,
the
it's from
atria
the
are
atria,
stretched.
but why?
Huh?
It is in the atria, but why?
Aldosterone secretion and action inhibits remnants.
But why is it released? That's what I'm.
Okay, go for it, Hannah.
So
I think it's like the
was
little guns versus the
really
big
impressed
guns.
that she wasn't just
Like
standing
if
up there
you're-
reading this, but I don't feel like I can.
Just
do
go.
it.
Just go,
Who's
Terrence.
reading it? I'm sorry.
Just go. Just go.
Okay, so ANP and BNP hormones work as the antagonist of the RAS and ADH.
Okay.
So yeah, they lower
Lower
blood
blood
pressure, which we already talked about. ANP is released by the heart, atria to block aldosterone secretion and action. It also inhibits renin secretion. BNP, like we said, is released by the heart ventricles, specifically in response to overstretching of the ventricles, as happens with increased blood pressure and especially heart failure. Let's see. Is there anything we want to talk about there?
No, that was good.
No? Okay. Well, go back up. Renal dysfunctions.
Prerenal, intrarenal, postrenal.
Yeah. So, examples of pre-renal.
Before the renal.
Before the blood
Before
circulation.
before the kidney.
Like
Right.
obstruction,
Yeah, thrombosis.
any type of blockage before the kidneys. So usually it's going to be an embolism or something that's going to stop the blood flow going into the kidney. So that's going to be pre-renal.
I just
And
looked
then-
up one that was really cool to this. That's really creepy. But so, you guys know who Karen Carpenter is?
Nope.
She's a singer from the Carpenters music group. She's the female singer from the Carpenters. We've only just begun. That guy, right?
No one knows
So
who
she
that
so
is.
she died. She died of renal failure. Okay, that's how she died. And what happened? And it was a pre-renal failure. It was pre-renal because what happened is her her body fat composition got so low that the fat that normally held the kidneys in place, she burned that off, and the kidney sagged.
They hate themselves.
No, they didn't eat it. The kidney sagged, and the ureters and the blood supply were blocked. She couldn't pee, and she wasn't getting any blood in there.
And it was just because they had to do the upward.
Well,
Because they were sagging.
yeah, the kidneys sit in the body and they
That's
sit straight on,
crazy.
but because her body fat was low, the fat normally holding in place was gone. It was removed, and they sagged, and she
So
died.
sad.
And that's why they couldn't get her back because
Anorexia
there's no
is
way to
so
fix that.
sad.
so they sagged and it kinked all the hilum structures, blood and urine and ureters and everything off, and then she died. She went into renal failure and died, which is sad because she had a voice like an angel.
Yeah.
So that would be a pre-renal and technically a post-renal, and the same thing because everything was kinked off, which is kind of weird. So I'm done. Thank you.
No, you're okay.
I wanted to add the Karen Carpenter sad story.
Okay, so Those three.
Kidney stones are my favorite.
Yeah.
I've had
Urinary
one.
tract
They're not
obstruction.
fun.
Yeah, kidney stone. When did you have one?
I don't know, a couple years back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working out like crazy, freaking doing all this stuff and drinking pop, not water, and I got a stone, and I don't do that anymore
Ouch.
because it sucked.
I'm not good up here. I don't know.
You're doing
someone-
Keep going, keep going. What are you
Do a
doing?
couple more at least.
Yeah, do like 2 more, and then we'll let you.
Draw something.
Yeah. I think it's good to have different voices. It
Yeah.
helps with the brain. So
Okay.
don't feel like you have to just your voice reading is fine.
All right. So kidney stones. I remember Megan's like olive
Razor kitties,
kitty claws
razor kitties,
going down the.
and that's what it does feel like.
So anyway, crystallization of stone-forming solutes in the urine. Calcium phosphate, if alkaline, uric acid, if acidic.
So how does that happen? Because people are dehydrated.
So I think it's like a
That's one cause, I think.
over concentration of the.
Well, just look who's at risk to
solutes
get
in
these.
there
Look who's at
because
risk.
you're dehydrated.
So who's at most risk to get this?
Men.
Men ages 20 to 40, prone to dehydration. So
Living in the desert.
somebody.
Why are males 20 to 40 prone
Well,
to dehydration?
But no, here's why. So an 20 to 40-year-old guy probably isn't in his career yet, so he's out humping, throwing frames on a
Oh my
house all day. No, I'm sorry. I'm saying that guy's probably out throwing frames all day. Yeah, blue collar job, as opposed to somebody who's in their 40s who probably has a degree and is sitting at a desk where he's the supervisor telling all those guys what to do. He's not physically working as hard.
So basically, if they're dehydrated, they're gonna have a higher solute concentration in the blood. So as it goes through the kidneys pull out those solutes, and then they start to form little stones.
Crystals,
They
yeah.
are-
Those are all,
they
those
start
are all
to
heavier
crystallize.
than,
Very heavy.
than the liquid, right?
Yeah.
So they just like sit in.
The renal caniculi.
They crystallize in
a low
the
point.
pelvis, yeah, in the pelvis and the calyx, because it's where the urine comes out as it's being drained into the
The collecting
uterus, right?
ducts,
So
yeah.
the collecting ducts. So it starts to just form little crystals, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until one of them chips off, and then it starts to travel down, and it could block.
Oh, it
Razor
sounds so
kitties.
painful.
It sounds
Yeah.
really painful.
I don't ever want to do that. If it's worse than childbirth, I don't want to do that.
Just drink a lot of water.
Yeah, just drink water.
Okay, so stones form in the calyx and pelvis of the kidneys. So, okay, so wait, I'm gonna try and draw now. No, that's right.
This is the Jeff Huffman Anatomy Review, or your respective lab instructor.
Is the nausea and vomiting come from just the pain of
Yep, that's where it comes from.
it? Okay. And bloody pee, obviously, because it's like cutting stuff up
It's
as it's
just
going
damaging
down.
everything as it's
The
going
razor
down.
sharp kitty claws.
And
Razor kitties.
flank pain or pain that spreads. It's going to be moving pain because the stone is moving.
Yep. Razor kitty. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Sleepy kitty, happy kitty, purr, purr, purr. Don't you guys watch The Big Bang Theory, for God's sake?
Yeah.
I mean, I have. But I'm trying to-
Sheldon's Six song, dude. Sheldon's Six song, and he always gets Penny to sing it to him.
Oh
It's
my
the Warm
gosh.
Kitty song.
Okay, so the renal pelvis is
Yep, that guy.
this right here, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Sandra, yup.
Yeah, I knew I was going to do it right.
Minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis, ureter.
Right. So these would be like.
Calyx is the
That was so-
region where they come
Yep.
out of the
Before
kidneys
it's
and start
even
to collect.
out.
They form like little
Premature.
channels that get bigger and bigger until it goes to the big
To
channel,
the-
like
to
the
the
river.
ureter.
What's the size when it's
Ureter.
dangerous of blocking?
Greater than
Size?
Yeah. What size does the stone need to be when you're like obstruction is a danger? Greater
really
than.
big. 5 millimeters.
Oh, 5 millimeters.
Yeah, I know, like,
I know she's trying to
Hands
mix up
or
the
hair?
I got you there.
Harmony.
Is a kidney stone
Really big.
considered a pre,
That was
post, or
so-
intra-renal dysfunction? Post. Even if
Happy
it's for
kitty,
kidney.
warm
Once inside the
kitty,
kidney, it doesn't
little
cause any
olive
problems
fur.
in the kidney. It causes the problems after.
Yeah, so
it
it's
hits
a
the
post-renal.
kidney, so it's a post-renal.
Sorry, man. That was that dialogue right there was hilarious. And all of it, everything.
Okay, risk of obstruction in the stone if greater than 5 millimeters.
Taylor
Um,
Sloan, which has a bunch of that.
One of the cadavers.
One of the cadavers. Yes.
Ooh.
So if you guys have a chance. to
Which
look
one
at
is
it,
he? Is
go
he?
check
Is he?
it
Is
out.
it? Which one is it? Is it the one closest to the cubbies?
Like I don't remember. I just remember like it's one of the.
I remember you can
times
if you open the kidney, if you can see him.
Too, or it's like all full of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so gross.
I think I covered almost all the rest while you were drawing.
Yeah, I think so. Post-renal,
What are the risk factors?
Male.
Male 20 to 40 years old.
Smoker, drinks alcohol, diabetic.
No, shut up.
Dehydrated.
Dehydration.
Yeah, prone.
What are the
What's
clinical
the other?
manifestations? Don't look up there.
Obstruction.
Flank pain.
Flank pain and pain that does the pain stay static or move?
Radiates.
Is that what it's called? Radiating?
Yeah, radiating.
Radiating is more like
Yeah, radiating is kind of
Oh.
spreads.
moving
So
is
it
like.
moves is like literally traveling.
I think the clinical term is referred.
What about the stone is cutting things up as it moves along, and what does that cause? Yes, blood in your pee. And nausea and vomiting because it's so painful.
Where do you guys? Oh, okay. Right.
And it's so.
What do you do? How do you treat it? How do you treat it?
IV and meds, man. IV and meds.
You just wait.
Push fluids.
Yeah.
And
Push
fluids.
fluids and meds.
Okay.
Or you just gut it out at home and pray for death.
All right.
Okay, so now
And the
I had
other
a
thing,
kidney stone.
Ultrasound
for
to
feeling-
break
yeah,
it up.
because you can actually break.
Lipotrixy is what they call that.
Yeah.
They use high frequency sound and shatter them.
Sound to shatter them and so it goes
Wow.
easier.
Her face is just like.
Okay,
Your
so
face
now,
is like, I don't want to get this done.
Welcome.
There.
Drink some water.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the jungle.
So now UTIs.
Oh, UTI. Women.
What's the other name for it?
Cystitis.
Cystitis.
And that's in the bladder, right? Like this.
I just had my first UTI this year.
This is the one. This is the one that travels up. It
Sorry,
starts
first
with.
ever or
it goes-
first of the year?
First ever.
Oh, really? Wow.
First of the year. Do you have one every year?
No, I know.
It's
I know, like women
Yeah.
really talk to them, but like, okay, so who are the at-risks? Like,
Girls.
Women.
Sexually
Little
active.
Everyone on this side of the room.
women, yeah.
Sexually active.
Sexually active. Yeah. Yeah.
And also
People who like anal sex. Not
Wow.
that that was me.
That was
Not
not in
that
that
was
note.
never me. I'm just saying this time.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think that
Sorry,
wasn't
I got it.
notes.
I got it now. I got it. Okay. Sorry.
What?
When she said what she said, I was like, wait a minute, how would that? And then and I thought this one, then to that one. This whole, then to that. I got it. It took me a second to kind of put that together.
Oh, yeah. Champagne in the bladder.
No,
Oh
what
my
else
gosh.
though? Being okay.
It would be
Toddlers.
Toddlers, yes.
opportunistic
Right
infection.
after this lecture, my daughter got a UTI, and it was
Really?
it was the worst thing ever. Because like
They like and they don't get what's happening.
the sensation to pee just like snuck up on her, and it was just so painful. Like it just seemed like she couldn't even handle it. It was so bad.
It is bad. It is really bad.
I felt
I threw a
So
dinner
bad for
party right after. It's like the weirdest dinner party ever.
Oh,
so caused by what?
It's an opportunistic infection.
E. coli. Yeah.
and some others like the what is it?
Oh, diabetes. We didn't
Pseudomonas.
mention diabetes.
Pseudomonas is
That's
another
it.
one of
There
those.
are
And then what's the third one?
Yeah, there's
It's like it's
several. of them.
Pseudomonas. It's a P starts with a P. It starts with
Pseudomonas. I think it's.
Is
I
it
can't
in-
remember the name of it.
It's
It's
like
a
Protus and Pseudomonas.
there it is.
Yeah,
Protus,
that's it.
Pseudomonas, and then yeah.
But that's more for coronavirus.
Yeah, that's for kidney infection.
Well, it is for kidney infections in
People.
general. Yeah, and pyelonephritis is a kidney infection going really bad.
That's
Yeah.
moving up the
It just like
system.
moves up into
Yeah.
the kidneys. So yeah, they're all caused by
But
the
she does
same.
have like in bold letters and underlined indwelling urinary.
Yeah.
indwelling urinary, which is expected, I guess, if you have something stuck in there.
And we don't
There's
clean
gonna be all
it.
kinds of
Yeah, you don't clean it.
bacteria, stuff
Static
growing.
hypertrophy.
I gotta pull my first indwelling catheter today. That was
Oh, you did? Like,
Pull it out.
That was fun.
So
It was like a magician.
what about clinical manifestations of UTI?
Frequent urination.
painful
The need to
urination is
pee,
urea.
feeling the need to pee.
Is urea, right? That's another one.
Dysuria is
White
pain,
blood
right?
Painful
It's
urine, yeah.
urination, yeah. Painful urination.
Suprapelvic or low back pain.
Urgency, yeah. Suprapelvic.
Hematuria. White blood
White
cells.
blood cells, you're
Bacteria
gonna see
poop.
white blood cells and nitrates.
Bacteria, yeah, the nitrates,
Yeah, the nitrates, yeah, the bacteria.
Cloudy urine.
Cloudy
Okay.
urine, yeah.
Awesome.
Signs and symptoms in the elderly. What's
Oh,
the
that was really
It's,
Yeah.
it's most
change
misdiagnosed.
in
I
LOC?
bet there's going to be a question on that.
Yeah.
And it's really.
Do you guys know
important
why
because-
that is?
Well, number one, the temperature of the elderly is usually lower than regular people, like the younger people.
Mhm.
So
Their
that's
baseline.
one thing. The baseline is always lower. So even if they had a low grade, fever, you would not notice it.
Mhm.
Another thing is that their bodies are worn out, so they can't mount like a real attack against the bacteria. So it proliferates to the degree that it goes into the blood and then it crosses into the blood-brain barrier. And then it causes big problems with their brain because you have bacteria in the brain, and that's the changes in LOC.
So
that
fever
you see.
is a symptom of UTI normally.
Well, fever is
If it's not listed on-
if it's a bad UTI.
Okay.
Yeah, pyelonephritis is going to be you're going to have fever
Okay.
in pyelonephritis because that's your UTI gone.
But
Really
that's
bad.
the difference, because they asked the question, remember, on both of them?
Oh yeah.
So the
Flank
UTI
pain.
is gonna be without chills and fevers, and the
Yeah.
kidney infections with chills
The
and
three
fevers.
things to
Just that
remember
they
are
asked that.
flank pain because it's on the side, so it's higher up than your suprapelvic. And it's
Nausea
going to be
and
fevers and
That's right.
chills and nausea and vomiting. So those
So those
three
are the three that are.
For
specific
pyelonephritis.
to-
for pyelonephritis. And pyelonephritis is just your UTI that starts
Traveling
to
up.
travel up. You have infected urine reflux that goes up and it goes into the kidneys, and then it starts to spread in the kidneys. It could also come through the blood,
But it's
most
uncommon.
likely it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be the bacteria coming up through the
The ureters?
ureters. Yeah, ureters.
Okay. So are we on the pyelonephritis now? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this chart that shows the differences between them. I had a question on that. So leukocytosis, isn't that just the production of white blood cells?
Why does that happen?
Because it's fighting the infection. Your body's fighting the infection.
So it's
Okay.
So there's
calling
going to
for
be
it.
white blood cells in the urine.
But isn't that in a UTI also?
Well, this isn't in
Yes.
the urine. This is just an increase in blood.
It's in the blood. Oh,
Yeah.
so that's well, but if you do a urine test,
Yeah, there's a different word for white blood cells.
Leukourea.
I think it's maybe
Because leukocytosis is then
That's in your
well,
blood, yeah.
leukocytosis is just the high blood. Yeah, leukocytosis is high blood.
No, I'm just saying that particular word
Yeah.
is that they got their blood test back and
It's
they're-
leukocytes.
They have
Yeah,
high-
leukocytes in the urine is
Yeah.
the word. Yeah, leukocytosis is many white blood cells.
So look at the first
I always
word.
thought
So
ptosis was
acute.
like
Acute.
situs is inflammation.
It says acute, right?
Yeah.
But pyelonephritis
Which is
by
like one
definition
letter
is not
difference.
acute.
Like
It's an infection that's been there a while, but UTI it's developed up the
You want me
system.
to
So
think.
by definition, it's not
Because, like,
acute.
it goes into
It's
your
been a
blood,
while.
it's going
So the
everywhere.
body's had time to mount
So
a
you
defense
can
and ask
know
for
white
white blood
cells,
cells.
right?
UTI, it's
Right?
just UTI down. It's down at the urethral level.
But it's still an infection.
It's still
So
an
isn't
infection,
there-
but
aren't there
it's-
going to be white blood cells there?
Yes, I think you're right.
It's about the defense, right?
Let's look it up.
You can treat this.
Because
really quickly and be done
leukocytosis
with
is
it.
when it's in the blood.
So
right?
Sandra, by the time you realized that you had a UTI, what did you do to treat it?
White blood cells.
Antibiotics.
So I think
And
it's
was
like
it a topical,
leukocytes
like a cream or something?
No,
Was it oral?
No.
Okay, how long did it
I
take?
think
How long did it take to
you're
get
right.
rid of
Trying to show
symptoms?
you that
Oh, so I'm like super
Because I
lucky
think when
because
they
my
say
ex-husband is a
leukocytosis, that
doctor.
they're
Okay.
saying that, like, you
So I just
the blood gas
like
or the blood.
So
my
from the-
symptoms happened
The blood
at like
component.
5 p.m. I had my
Okay.
first symptoms, and then
Complete
I
blood
went
count.
over and got drugs and
Okay.
started those. Had a horrible evening, but by the very next day, it was like way better.
By definition, by treatment, she had an acute response. But pyelonephritis has to develop over some time. So even though it calls it acute, it's truly not acute because her UTI could have developed into pyelonephritis, but it would have taken some time
But
for it to travel up. It has to physically move up to the
So that might
kidneys
be
to
a
become
question. Is
pyelonephritis.
leukocytosis only in the blood, or is it also?
But you can still get
like,
over
is
A
there-
it.
high level of white blood cells
Quickly.
in the blood. It is
Quickly,
only in the
yes,
blood.
but It
Leukocytosis
takes
is in the
time for
blood.
it to move up the system.
Which is
So it would be
important.
leukocytes.
So that's why the body can mount defense because pyelonephritis may.
Yeah.
How long would it take in
So you're
days
gonna
for it
have
to
white
move
blood
up the
cells
urinary
in
system
both,
to the
but in one
kidneys?
they're in the
It's going to go up
Yeah.
the
because it's
ureter
systemic.
to the bladder,
Yeah.
to the bladder,
So
through
in
the
that
urethra,
particular one,
then to
you've
the
also taken
kidneys.
disease.
That's going to take some time.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why so the body's going to be
That's
mounting
the
a
only way you
defense.
know they have
As soon as that hits the
leukocytosis.
bladder, what do you think the body's doing?
You've done blood labs.
Something's going on. We probably need some help. Get some neutrophils down here,
Okay.
and that's why you're seeing
So
elevated
acute pyelonephritis
leukocytosis.
is more systemic.
Where in
Because
hers,
you
she
have
took
white blood
medicine
cells.
with 12
Yeah,
hours.
you have white
these
blood cell
symptoms.
components
It
in
was
the
giving
urine.
the antibiotic
Yes.
hit
Yes.
and started bringing that bacterial infection on the
So
control.
that's why
So
it's
the
a
body was like,
Yes, and fever
Yeah,
also
we just
is
hurt a
the
little bit,
difference
now it's
because
gone.
fever comes more with a
Okay.
systemic
No problem.
response,
She was getting
right?
her
So
but if she
pyelonephritis
had left
is
that
like
untreated, it would have become
Because you will
pyelonephritis.
have
And
white
then
blood
the
cells
body would be like, holy shit, this
working
patient,
on
this person's
the
not doing this
infection.
job.
well, you can go
Yeah.
into sepsis from
Yeah,
a
you can.
UTI. I had a
So,
teacher,
normal
my
5,000
CNA
to
teacher
10,000
almost
can
died
handle that.
from a
But when you are
undiagnosed
in
UTI. Like she just waited a little too
pyelonephritis,
long.
then
There
the
you
body
go.
needs
Okay.
to really start pumping out those.
But because of the way that,
Leukocytes
because again,
and
and so the UTI that she
systemic.
had responded very quickly. How quickly do you think it responds to medicine when it's in the nephrons and glomerular structures of the kidney? It's going to take it. It's going to just. It's a lot more deep seated and it's further into the system, right? So it's going to be. It has to be treated more aggressively. And
And
remember,
it took like
I already had my stuff here.
4 days for any symptom to show up.
yeah,
No, it's perfect.
So it was like no symptom, and then it was like
bam, and then she had it. But then you took your first medication therapy that night, and the next day you already had relief. So.
which is
Where
good because I hiked
pyelonephritis, I
in
guarantee you,
Pinocchio.
you're not getting one round of treatment. And they're like, I feel great. They're probably like, I feel a little bit better. But they're like, I still got some pee that hurts. And, you know. Okay.
So
So can one of you tell me your discussion about leukocytosis?
So, leukocytosis is specifically white blood cells in like the CBC count, like
in the
your-
blood.
Your system has increased white blood cell production.
Okay.
That's the definition of leukocytosis.
Leukocytes in the urine is in both
Okay.
because it's like locally they've sent white blood cells to the spots,
Mm-hmm.
but in a urinary tract infection, your body hasn't started producing more. The what is it, 10 to 15?
Yeah, the 5
thousand.
to 10,000 white blood cells normally in the blood go directly to attack the UTI infection, and that's why you see the white blood cells in the urine.
Leukocyturia.
Yeah, like a cyturia.
I knew there was a word.
But
Okay.
then,
So that's white blood cells in the urine, right?
goes up into the kidneys and it becomes leukocytosis, then you have a systemic response because the body is saying like, oh, this is really bad, and you have a high fever, and then the body starts producing more white blood cells to start fighting that much more difficult infection,
Okay.
and then you have leukocytosis because
Okay.
then there's more than the 10,000
Okay.
that you would normally see.
So is this basically what you said? The normal 5 to 10,000 is enough to take care of the UTI infection, but then when it becomes pyelonephritis, that's no longer enough, and so the body has to produce
Starts to
more
call for more.
leukocytosis.
So just think of the two
Okay.
as like systemic versus local.
Well, you could still have an increased. Yeah, still have leukocytosis with urinary infection. It just wouldn't
Depending
be.
on how bad it is.
Not according to this little chart.
Yeah, because in that one it
That's just
doesn't
the
say, that one doesn't say leukocytosis, it just says, yeah.
So you can only have leukocytosis.
So
I was wrong.
I think that's.
Fever
that's-
is indicative
that's
of systemic.
Well, and Sandra, she
Leukocytosis
talked
is
a little about her.
Systemic.
I asked her this question.
She
had about 4 days,
like
then she had
pain,
signs and
tenderness,
symptoms. As
it's
soon
like-
as she saw signs
So,
and symptoms, she got
think
a
of that
medical
as the
medication
difference, like
therapy.
local
Within 12
versus
hours, she was getting relief. That is an acute activation and an acute medical response, right? Within like 5 days, she was already out of it, was already going away. So again, the body's defenses probably, I mean, I would imagine they're kicking in, but as soon as she intervened and the body was, the defense, it was killing it, your body was like, dude, this is no problem. We're good, right? So she might have gone from 10,000 white blood cells into something like 6,000 while the body was starting to fight it. Then those antibiotics hit, started assisting in killing it. So she probably got to 5,000, but by the time she was at 5,000, the infection was dead. It was already starting to
The thing I didn't really get was like urgency. Like, well, yeah, when we need to pee, we always feel like we need to pee, but it was like intense.
Yeah.
And
It was the most intense, and it was like, and then there's no pee.
right now.
You know?
Have you guys ever seen Grey's Anatomy? Okay, well there was like one particular episode, and I thought that this like actress, she did a really good job because she actually had like.
And she acted it out.
She acted it to a T. Like she made you feel like you
had to pee.
like you could feel like you could suffer with her. Like every 2 seconds she was just like freaking out.
It's like 3-alarm fire.
She's like, this is what my
She
boy
had like
chance
a
to become
dinner
an
party,
actress.
and she was just like she was supposed to be cooking for it. She was like, I am not cooking for this. Like I have to pee every 5 seconds. I can't do this. Like, but the entire thing
It's all your
I
fault.
threw a dinner party.
No, it was because you know, because Grey's Anatomy is because she was having a ridiculous amount of sex. So obviously there was like something tied to it that made it like catchy. But
Yeah.
it was just so funny because it's like watching her act.
She's a freak.
This actress did a good job. So it's like if you guys ever like have the opportunity to watch the episode, then you will understand what it is urgency because the entire time you were kind of like,
I'll just
this
Google
poor
it right
girl,
now.
like,
I know.
just leave her
What was it?
alone.
You say Grey's Anatomy
No,
UTI?
no, don't do it. We're moving on.
Okay, we're moving on.
We have
We have a lot to cover.
And you're in your own
309.
I took a lot of time. Sorry, guys.
No, that was
That
good.
was great.
That was not what that was about.
Glomerular disorders.
Glomerular nephritis.
I have a little bit of a hard time with this just because, so when they're talking about the antibodies, where does that all come in?
You mean the immune complex?
Yeah, or where they ask the question, they said if you have like the antigen antibody complexes. So
Does anybody have an answer to that? Or
So remember
It's just
acid.
people dying
Remember acid 1, 2, 3, 4. So acid 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 3, Number 3 is immuno. It's an immune response.
I don't remember acid 1, 2, 3.
Acid 1, 2, 3 is levels of hypersensitivity.
Oh no, I missed 3 questions
yeah,
on
okay.
that.
Here's how it happens. Okay, so you get a strep A infection. That's in your throat. Has nothing to do with the kidneys, right? However, the strep A infection is going to cause that immune complex where antigens and antibodies become clumps, like really big clumps of, I guess, like clusters of cells or whatever you want to call them. So those big immune complexes are too big for the glomerulus to handle, and they damage the glomerulus.
They just stop. They just get stopped in there.
Yeah,
so
which
you're having a
causes-
reaction and then it blocks
Right.
it down there.
which causes all kinds of havoc with your.
So many of our body's problems are in reaction to, like the
A hypersensitivity, hypersensitivity response.
Inflammation
Yeah,
really
inflammation,
seems
yeah.
to mess us up.
That's another thing that because
Did
of the damage.
anybody else have like the reaction when they were going through like physiology that they're like, my body is so amazing. That's all this cool stuff, and then you get to pathophysiology and you're like, I'm going to die of
I don't want AIDS.
It's so fragile.
I don't want cancer. Man, hypertension sucks.
I was so impressed with like the human body after physiology, and then I go into patho, and I'm just like, we're all gonna die of everything right now.
I had this thought like, how are we even?
No,
How are any of us walking?
I
around?
had this thing where I'm like, I got like so paranoid for my first few weeks of pathophysiology that I actually like, because my husband was out of town because he had to go to Haiti with visit his dad. And I was like texting a friend every night when I went to sleep and every morning when I woke up because I'm like, if I don't text you, you need to make sure to check on my kids. Because I'm like, if I don't wake up, then they're trapped in this house by themselves. And I was just like, but I was so convinced I was going to die of everything.
Poor kitty, soft kitty, little ball
That
of
wasn't
fur.
my reaction. My reaction was just like intense gratitude
I think
to
it
my
was-
body.
I think it
I
was-
was like, I give my body a hard time for how it sucks, right?
I also
But,
think it was partly because I'm not used to like not having the other half there. So I was
Yeah.
just like, well, what if I die? They're gonna be all alone and they're not gonna be able to feed themselves. So I'm like, it was partly like a reaction to that, and the fact that I thought I was gonna die.
I think your kids are a lot more resilient than you give them credit for.
Yeah, I know.
Kids
they
are, like,
take
super
care of
resilient.
the house and find food.
You know, I
They eat
wonder
the house.
how,
You get the answer
like,
you needed for
medical
strep A.
professionals
Yeah, that
aren't the
was-
healthiest people in the world.
That was actually
Like,
I
because
thought
we
I
learn all this
understood it,
stuff.
and then when we said it,
I
I'm
mean,
like,
how are there
But they're
still
really
medical
not. They're
professionals?
actually-
So,
Well, and they're actually
memorized
worse.
stuff, and you said that, I'm like,
Often.
we embrace the fact that we know all the treatments. I can just take a thing for that.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes the notes, I'm like,
And so my ex was an ER doctor, and instead of making him more paranoid as a father, he was just like,
They're fine.
it'll be all right. Like, he could probably fall like 12 feet without any real damage. So let's not put a guardrail up. No big deal, you know.
Whoa.
Or like, you can't choke on things unless it's smaller than your pinky. So sure. I thought it was funny.
Okay, let's finish. Hey guys, let's get through. Let's finish up through acute tubular necrosis, and then let's call it. We're pushing an hour and a
Just
half,
one quick thing,
2 hours and a half.
that glomerulonephritis can result in nephritic or nephrotic syndrome.
Okay.
You know
Yeah.
the difference between nephritic
What's
and
the
nephrotic.
difference? Anybody?
Protein,
Oh,
nephrotic.
Yes.
Blood and protein in nephritic.
Blood,
I have a fun
nephritic,
trick for nephrotic.
only protein and nephrotic.
Elizabeth, Amy, is Amy Elizabeth?
Protein and
Elizabeth,
blood in
Amy Elizabeth?
the urine.
In
What?
the-
Either.
Yeah, the
So,
nephrotic system,
like
you're gonna
nephrotic
see in the urine and the
syndrome
fluid, you're gonna have
is like
proteinuria and hematuric.
Protein, like if you leave a steak out, it'll rot. So I think
Mhm.
protein will rot.
You're gonna have the
Nephrotic.
protein is
In
going
nephrotic.
to be,
And
It's
then
a
I
large
also know
molecule.
that like the protein will rot.
but in
Any
nephritic,
question
the
that has
holes in
numbers
the
associated with
glomeruli are
tests
so big that the
it's gonna
red
be
blood cells
nephrotic.
don't go through.
Okay, so
that's nephritic.
Nephritic, so it's
Thank you.
worse. And then nephrotic is just
Okay.
protein. So
Remember
you're gonna
that for the
see
What do you
albumin.
mean by
Oh, and the
numbers?
3.5.
Because this one has,
grams
Oh.
of
3.5 GM
protein.
or
Is
more.
how much
Because
protein?
that's how
Is
that
what
question is
makes
going to be asked. Is if you
nephrotic.
have
over
something
3.5.
of more
Over
urine
3.5
protein.
makes
Of
it
4 grams.
And then they're not going to tell you
Before
something else.
that-
They're just going to
before
tell
that,
you
you're
that
gonna
number.
have
So if it has,
proteinuria.
you have some figure out if it's
Yeah, you have
nephritic or
proteinuria,
nephrotic,
but it's
and
not
you see
that bad.
numbers,
But then if you have
GM.
more than
it will most
3.5
likely be
grams,
nephrotic.
then you're considered nephrotic.
So that's one thing I noticed when I was doing the read.
GM.
College.
Oh, grams.
Does it stand for
Grams.
Don't
Yeah.
they just normally just do one
And puppy.
little G for grams?
That's what I wrote.
It's grams here.
Protein.
It's grams.
Yeah,
Like marshmallows.
I always remember the
Dima.
big cheese.
Okay, so GM pathology and manifestation. Lots of plasma proteins lead to decreased oncotic pressure, so water stays in the tissues.
Where are we?
So GN pathology and manifestation.
Glomerular nephritis.
Yep,
Glomerulonephritis,
glomerulonephritis
yeah.
pathology and manifestation. It's the blue line. It says loss of plasma proteins leads to decreased oncotic pressure, so water stays in the tissues, leading to what? Which is only going to full body edema and raccoon eyes.
No, so wrong.
Yeah, it's called periorbital edema.
Periorbital
edema.
Yeah.
I just say raccoon eyes because it's a little easier to remember, but yeah. Okay.
But that could mean like the dark circles.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
I just say it that way because it's around
It
the eyes.
reminds you it's around the eyes.
Yeah, it's around the eyes.
The periorbital.
Yeah, periorbital edema is just edema around the eyes. Okay. Overload in the heart, lungs, and brain. Yay, that's awesome. Loss of immunoglobulins leads to increased susceptibility to infection. That's not fun at all. Okay, loss of transport proteins leads to calcium malabsorption. Hyperlipidemia, which means elevated fat, leads to increased hepatic synthesis of lipid combined with decreased albumin levels. Decreased LDL and VLDL, which are protein, those are cholesterol indicators, and it leads to a risk of arteriosclerosis and lipiduria, which is fat in the urine. So arteriosclerosis and arteriosclerosis. Who knows the difference?
One is hardening, one is narrowing.
Art is the hardening of the blood vessel and leads to arteriosclerosis, which is lumen occlusion
The
Okay.
narrowing
of the lumen. Yep, you get build up around the art.
I'm gonna remember that by like thorough is more thorough. It's more thoroughly damaging.
Yeah, I just think of art as in like you throw paint on the wall
And then it hardens.
and nothing happens. It's not intruding, and then arterio is it's building up and moving
Paint
in.
dries and then.
You keep adding it and it just gets nasty. Yep. Okay. Art and art. So this is arteriosclerosis because there's actually cholesterol, a lot of free-floating cholesterol in the blood. It can actually build up. If it wasn't there, it couldn't build up. Okay. Acute tubular necrosis. Okay, this is like a really cool one. I love this one. So think of this one. I'll draw a picture.
I love this disease.
I'll draw a picture.
Love me some ATN.
ATN.
No, that's for the lungs only.
Oh, sorry, that's the party people. Sorry, okay.
All the way
Never
out
close
past the
your
door.
eyes. I'll use a different song.
Okay.
Wait, what? What's
Alright.
up?
Oh my gosh. This is when I know I'm 38 and you guys are all young.
You are not 38. Cougar and Merlin.
Yeah.
Cougar and Merlin, Maverick and Goose.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Well-
Maverick and Goose.
Top
Addie, you
Gun.
know that reference. Harmony, if you don't know that reference, I'm going to be
Everyone
embarrassed.
knows Top. It should know
Gun.
Top Gun.
I don't
Hey,
know.
okay,
I've
I
never
got a
seen
joke. Here's a joke. Here's a Tom Cruise joke. Okay, you guys know that movie? You know that movie where Tom Cruise is the young cocky guy?
Like every single one.
That's the joke.
Risky business.
Every movie he's in, he's the
That's
young
why I
cocky
haven't
guy.
seen it. So I don't like
Every movie
Because
he's
he
ever
is
been.
in person.
All
Yeah,
of them.
that is who he is. Okay, so acute tubular necrosis is a breakdown.
Oh yeah, the epithelial lining,
Yep,
and
then,
so
and then
it
it falls into the tube
because
and blocks
of
it.
ischemia.
Okay, it blocks in. So
Blocks
what's
it.
ischemia? What is ischemia?
Lack of oxygen to the tube.
To a local area.
Yeah, local area.
Because hypoxia, it's
So
local
isn't that kind of
hypoxia.
the same as
More
perfusion?
systemic. That is perfusion. That is what perfusion is. So if you have no perfusion, you're going to get ischemia.
Oh.
If you have perfusion, you won't be ischemic. So yes, ischemia to this area would cause this to happen.
Why doesn't she just have our test at the same time? It's like 9 and 9:30.
I know.
Because
So
they can't
weird.
get everybody in that testing center because there's like 800 of us.
9 and 9:30. Mine's like 11 something.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's what's
Are you
going
in
on.
the Tuesday class?
No, I'm not. I just go there all the time.
I'm
I'm in the Thursday afternoon.
Okay, so
So
QT,
what?
due to damaged
And
tubular
when did you
lumen
say
cells,
that? 9:30?
usually caused by lack of
It's at
oxygen or
9:30.
ischemia. Okay, but also
I asked
occur
someone
due to
else
poison or
in
harmful
the class.
substances. So for those of you who care, for those of you who actually care a little bit, so
Hey, well, she almost took the test at the wrong time.
Yeah,
We're
I think we
talking
should
about
care about
testing.
that a little
We
bit.
care.
I think you need to.
She
I
was
think you
gonna
need
go at 11:30.
Yeah, and
Well,
if you
9
see
o'clock.
On
9:30.
Canvas, it says due by
Yeah, well, I'm not looking at you down
11:30,
here,
but
but
that means
we're all
it has to
getting
be done.
Well, I've
Taken care of.
Maybe.
gotten back to my house
Okay,
by
so you're in
3:40.
Thursday afternoon.
because you got kids and you got to
And
go home
they
to
said
church.
Exactly.
9:30.
You had to do a drug deal with
I'm
your
gonna
wife.
save someone. The person who told me wrong. We're
Well,
saving
you-
her little
you
money
compromise.
too.
You should be able to do both.
And it's in
There,
the-
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
in the
I hope I never have
analysis.
advocated blow your family off.
Yeah.
Because I would never advocate that. I'm saying, but yeah, navigate it. Just tell your wife, hey man, Jesus wants me to get an A in this class.
Yeah.
So now
That's
that
gonna.
we,
I know moving the neighbor's furniture is important, but
Oh my
me
gosh,
getting
you
a better
didn't
job
use
being a nurse is important to us.
Yeah.
And that will allow me to serve the
WWJD?
Lord more.
Get an A.
Because I'll have the resources to be able to do it as opposed to I'll be a one large work reader.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's
no
funny.
O2 causes the epithelial cells to swap off and they collect and block the tubule. Okay, which is not good. Yep, which is not good. Okay. If
so
it's
glad I
reversible if treated, we can actually treat this. So if we can get rid of the ischemic conditions, it'll fix this.
So how does that happen though? From it could become ischemic, but from what though?
A blockage, a
What
tumor,
if I do this?
cancer,
Here's my afferent
a
neuron.
blood clots, pressure
My
from something
afferent,
else,
my afferent atrial going in there.
pressing on
low
it.
blood pressure, enough low blood, yeah. Low blood pressure for more than 30 minutes, was that one of?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
what's
20,
going on.
30 minutes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what
That
I
is
like,
what's
like
going
30
on.
minutes,
There's gonna be, yeah.
If you have shock.
Yeah.
You could
Well,
skip half
shock can also, yeah,
Yeah.
cause it as well.
Okay, so yeah, anytime there's
Ooh, medications, that's a good one.
okay, so I was saying,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just kind of adding this. So one of the things that you'll notice if you ever look at the kinds of chemical agents that are used in war, they attack this. This is one of the things they definitely attack because you can't. Yeah, 'cause
Just
this is-
another reason
because
for
it-
war to suck.
Yeah, because the poisons they're talking about. So some of the poisons that they're talking about getting rid of tool and stuff. This is one of the things I asked about it just recently. I asked about this, and this is what they were saying. They break down these epithelial tissues, and it doesn't just happen in the kidneys. It's systemic. It's happening in the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, and the liver together. So that massive ARDS or SARS or whatever. It's that massive loss that's breaking these, but that does happen here, and that's why people get flappy and can't breathe and stuff is because it's attacking this stuff. So it's just kind of cool.
Is there any condition that can result from those epithelial cells, like sloughing off? Because there's not.
Well, here in this condition, that your glomerulus can't force urine out. You're gonna have urine backflow back into the blood vessels. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Urine backflow. So we're gonna have what in there? We're gonna have this thing going on in there.
Well, you're gonna have renal failure. That's gonna be the main. If there's enough damage to enough tubules, you're gonna have renal failure.
But this is gonna be created. This is definitely gonna be created.
Ammonia.
Ammonia is gonna be
And
created.
then the ammonia is poison
gonna go this
to the
way.
brain, so
Then it's gonna
Yeah.
start poisoning everything. Okay. Awesome. That was so much fun. Okay.
Alright.
Good
See you
job.
guys.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Thank you.
Okay, potentially life-threatening. If enough damage occurs, the tubules in the kidneys cannot filter blood anymore, resulting in fixed specific gravity.
big gravity.
Oh, wait. So this is the one that you know you have it if you have this specific.
Yep, this is one of them. Yep. That's just your indicator of what? Straight.
ATN and fixed
straight renal
gravity
failure,
goes
specific
together.
gravity,
Always
okay.
think about it that way.
So, so end-stage kidney failure. So that's end-stage. If you have fixed specific gravity, your kidneys are dead.
Mhm.
Okay. Risk factors: low blood pressure lasting longer than 30 minutes, which is a shock thing, and blood loss thing. Septic shock, dye. So contrast dye. So you can tell me what contrast dye is.
For X-rays.
When
Yeah.
they do the
Like that.
construct,
Real
Green
particles.
Yep. Anytime we're going to do internal imaging, we want
and it damages-
we're gonna use a
it
contrast
damages
dye.
the kidneys.
So we may be looking at somebody. So the doctor orders, hey, I want to do a contrast dye on these people, and we know they're already having renal issues. We might question that procedure. That'd be our job to say, hey, doc, hey, this
guy
person's
has
got
renal-
some.
yeah,
They got
has
some
renal
altered. They got some
problems.
altered urine, some renal function. We may want to question that. The doc may still screw you. You're gonna do it. Okay, sign right here that you approved this. Right. We're gonna cover our butts, but we're gonna question it. Okay. So used for X-ray studies, indication, medication toxic to the kidney, such as amino.
Antiglycos.
yeah,
Aminoglycos.
yeah,
Glycoside.
ABX or
Those are antibiotics. Yeah.
antibiotics, and
ABX.
then amphotericin. Injury or trauma that damages the muscles releasing myoglobin. So trauma to the muscle, it's releasing myoglobin. Amphotericin.
Is that an antibiotic as well?
I thought it was. I thought she said it was an antibiotic.
I know that the amino glycoside.
I thought those were all antibiotics.
I don't know any of those. I don't know anything about any of them.
Yeah, I don't know drugs either.
Well, you don't need to memorize.
Yeah.
we just
It's just like it's just showing us examples.
Amy Elizabeth, we don't need to memorize it. We're okay. Let's move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Injury or trauma. It's
We
going
just need to
to
know
be
that
releasing.
medication's toxic.
Yeah. And then myoglobin is going to be released from those muscles.
Myoglobins are too big.
Yeah, they get stuck.
So they damage.
Yeah, they get stuck. They can't. Yeah. Kidney filters can't filter those large molecules. Blood transfusion reactions. So across mixed
Agglutination.
blood is going to cause that C.
Agglutination
Yep.
and it's gonna
It's going to jam those up, which that sounds really freaking painful, by the
just
way.
like plug everything.
Dude, just put me out of my misery if that ever happens to me. I just really don't want to have that happen. That
You
sounds
bring
really.
him, so if he just has like
We'll be like, he wants to
Kill him
die.
off.
Just put them out.
Just kill him.
Just take them out
Euthanasia,
back.
man. Just
Put
euthanasia.
me out of my misery.
I know, I just-
Put me out of my misery, not big. And then obviously reactions to recent major surgery when they're being immobile. There's chances of getting blockages in those kidneys, tubules. Okay. CNS changes. So obviously changes in LFC, delirium, hyper.
Because changes in LOC because there's more like ammonia because it's not
Yeah, we can't-
filtering.
Hypernatremia is what it says.
We can't filter that stuff. Yeah.
So the changes in LOC is because of hypernatremia.
Yeah.
because
Ammonia
there's
poisons
too
the brain.
much salt in the or too much sodium in the body and it goes to the brain and in the brain it causes all those problems because it's
Too much.
pulling
Fluid from the
fluid
cells.
and causing them to
Cerebral edema. Awesome. That sounds really good. Right? It sounds something. The oliguria, which is like abnormal urine.
it's decreased.
Decreased.
or
And an anuria is absence of urine. And then full body edema, that's just kidney related.
People.
Sorry, people.
Puppy people. Just stay puppy Barcelona.
Pee-pee.
Okay, and then obviously retention of protein and protein loss, cardiac problems due to potassium imbalances, and then fixed specific gravity. Are we good there? Can we stop there?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Dude, that was awesome.
That was like 2.5
That was
hours.
really, really awesome.
We have more stuff like there.
We're gonna go tomorrow.
We need more.
We're gonna go tomorrow, killer.
Tomorrow we're just gonna pick up